What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of All Things Super. I am one of your hosts, Spider, and I'm joined by the man with the plan, Mr. VIP, Frankie Washington. How are you doing today, sir?
I am infinitely awesome, sir. Thank you for asking. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm doing great. I'm doing.
Whoa, wait, what's that?
Listen, we're not
Doing
going.
what?
No connections. Not. We're not talking about
It's
that.
all connected,
It's
Spider. It's
not
all
connected. This is
connected.
not connected. This
All connected.
it down the line it might get connected, but today is not connected.
Well, they're trying to connect it.
They
I'm
are
telling
trying to
you right
connect it.
now. Let's go connect. It has to connect.
I mean, if you're creating a greater universe, then yes, it ultimately all has to come back full circle. It has to connect. But as of right now, we're just not exactly sure how it's going to connect.
I think we can. I think they tuned into the right show. I think we could tell it, or I think we can expose the connection.
I don't know. Well, we will
I
talk
think we
about it.
should.
But if you didn't know, this is All Things Super, where every week we take a piece of superpower movies, TV shows, even trailers. We watch them, we react to them, we break them down, we review them, and we ask the question, is it super?
It's super. Is it super?
Is it? We'll find out. But if you like that, go ahead, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell so you can be notified when we have new episodes that come out. If you want the audio version of the podcast, just search for All Things Super on your favorite podcast streaming platform. And if you want to reach out to us on social media, just click the link in the description below.
With links, click them, leave comments, reread them. Look how that works. It's
all connected.
It's all connected. It's a clicky, ready, linky, commenty deliciousness. Spider, the cap is here.
The cap is here.
The cap is here.
It's been...
The cap is here.
7 months?
Okay.
Since the last time we had an MCU film in theaters, which is the longest break between movies that we've had in recent times.
That's what you're referring to, right? Deadpool and Wolverine?
Yeah, because Deadpool and Wolverine came out July, right?
Last time I looked at the release date, yes.
So 7 months.
So what are you saying?
I'm just saying that we had to wait a while. We haven't had an MCU. We've had MCU shows, yes, but we haven't had an MCU movie in 7 months. When before we were getting MCU movies like every 3 to 4 months.
Yeah, well they made the announcement they're going to slow things down till it stopped.
Until 2025, where we're getting another movie in 3 months.
Right. So they didn't say they were going to keep it that way. They just said they was going to do it that one time. Remember that one time when they said they will slow down?
That one time we said we'll dial it back a little bit,
and they didn't. It was like trolling the industry. Like we'll give you a chance to put your movie out, but we won't. We won't. They gave me a year. Spider, it takes longer than a year.
Listen, you should have had your game plan all laid out prior to. You should have been ready for this.
Wow.
We gave you a year. You didn't capitalize on it. All right, we getting back to it.
This is how movie studios, companies, and big conglomerates work, and they think it's like there's so many dollars out there that's allocated for spending and entertainment. We're going to put our quality content out there and capitalize on those dollars, and you guys could have what's left. The problem is when they release something almost every quarter. And by the way, we got the theme parks are open again.
Right.
So we're at full swing. There's a connection involved. That's all I'm saying. It's all connected.
Here's the thing. Here's my question. Because at the height of the MCU,
Cap is here.
At the height of the MCU, when we were getting 4 movies a year, 3 to 4 movies a year, prior to where we are right now in 2025, where we're going to get 3 movies. When DCEU...
By the way, I think that's the sweet spot, though, for them.
3 movies?
3 movies a year, and then you can flood the TV shows with everything in between. I think you should have some... just in case you got to move something around. But they were trying to be ambitious and go for like a movie a quarter,
Yeah.
and mm, that's just when you're not communicating and you're siloed. It just doesn't work. That's
I,
why we got Multitude of Madness. Didn't make sense after WandaVision,
I think 2 to 3.
in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I think 2 to 3 is good. I think you get your summer blockbuster in, and
Mm-hmm.
then you can have a spring, you can have a fall, somewhere in between that, and then whatever however you want to fit it. Because right now we have two movies. Well, we have a late winter movie with Captain America: Brave New World that just came out mid-February. Then we have Thunderbolts coming out in May,
Not really, not really. Because remember, Deadpool first premiered on Valentine's Day, and
but that
then
wasn't MCU.
no, but that's a prime spot. You want those holidays because people are going to take enough of work. The kids are going to do something. So it's certain times like summer blockbusters,
Right.
winter hits. There, it's a schedule. So you're trying to capitalize on these spots, and when you want to dominate, you just drop something every quarter, every one
Yeah.
every 3 quarters.
Now
But
I think adding in that fourth one is pushing it a little bit because, like you said, going after those holidays, yeah, you have certain holidays that are more advantageous for movie releases to get more people into the theaters, but
mhm.
I think
That's why it's a summer blockbuster.
you also
The
need
kids are out
to
of school.
have time to let your movies breathe
Oh,
because
oh,
you don't want to be in competition with yourself. Because of
oh,
course you want to try to generate as much revenue as you can for your film.
you
So
better
you don't
watch
want to
that.
put something out and then immediately put something else out, and then the new thing takes away from the old thing before the old thing even had time to breathe.
You better stop that. That's not the Marvel way of thinking at all.
I mean, it
You
was
better
for a
get that.
while,
Oh yeah, well back when they were trying to make sense of things, they got too
but
much money now. They just don't do things that make sense.
now we have Thunderbolts coming out in May, and then we have Fantastic
Right.
Four: First Steps coming out in July.
Which probably will have Robert Downey Jr. in it.
I don't know,
That investment is going to have to start to pay off.
but do you think that because I know that initially there were when we were in the middle of phase 4 and they were releasing the slates for phase 5 and phase 6 and all this other kind of stuff,
Uh-huh.
there were a
You know that they're
lot
not
more
doing that
things
anymore.
on the slate than what we have now. We're talking about both
Yeah.
movies and TV shows,
Yeah,
and a lot of
absolutely
that has been
correct.
reduced. A lot of things have been in development hell, trying to find directors, trying to find scripts,
Stuff's been canceled too.
and stuff getting canceled as well.
There's
And
no more
so
Iron Armor Wars.
yeah,
That's
no more Armor Wars.
heartbreaking.
Don't know what happened with that, but
Well, they put Don Cheadle in the Secret Invasions, which they're trying to pretend never happened at all. I wish it didn't happen.
yeah, I really wish that it didn't happen because it was not a bright spot. I would say that was probably the lowest that the MC. I would say that's the lowest that MCU Marvel Television has been since they introduced their shows on Disney Plus. But I would say that since then they have bounced back. Marvel Television has bounced back since then. You look at the Marvel Television shows that we've gotten since Secret Invasion, and you can't tell me that they have been leagues better than what we had with Secret Invasion.
Live action or animation?
Either way, just Marvel Television in general. You look like you're struggling to form an opinion.
I had to reference what you were referring to. They
So
have key component television shows like Agatha All Along, Loki, season 1, season 2, WandaVision. These are great shows.
right, but
And
I'm
then
talking
you
about
have
after
other
Secret
shows like
Invasion.
wasn't Echo after Secret Invasion? Like directly after Secret Invasion?
Let me see. That's those are not Disney Plus. This is all
Then
outside.
Hawkeye was before Secret Invasion.
Yes, Hawkeye was before Secret Invasion. There we go.
I think Echo was after Secret Invasion.
If I can get down to it, what the fuck is Hellstrom?
Okay. There. I will say for the ones that I named, yes, those carry over.
Loki season
You know,
2 was after Secret Invasion, and Echo was after Loki season 2.
so yes.
It was Loki, What If season 2, and then Echo. No, Echo was yeah. Loki was October
I'm trying
2023.
to,
What If season 2 was December 2023. Echo was January 2024.
and then was it season 3 or season 2 for What If that ended?
Season 3 was the last season of What If. That was just this past December.
Right. And how do we feel about that?
I feel it was better than Secret Invasion. I'm not
Oh,
saying
it's
it was
better than
great, but it was better than Secret Invasion.
Secret Invasion. So that's just the lowest standard now.
Yeah,
So
that's what I'm
Secret
saying.
Invasion
Well,
is
I'm
just
not saying. Listen, I'm not saying that the MCU has been just creating bangers after Secret Invasion, but I'm saying nothing since Secret Invasion has been as bad as Secret Invasion.
you on your own. Yeah.
That's the only thing that I'm saying is that they
That's a
haven't
benchmark.
been
That's a
that bad.
benchmark.
I mean, I feel like you have your top of the tops with your Civil Wars, your Winter Soldiers, your Infinity Wars, your End Games. You have your lowest of lows with your Age of Ultron, your Thor: Dark Worlds. You know, there has to be a range. It's all a spectrum. There has to be a low
Right.
point. There has to
It's
be a high
different
point.
actors, different directors, different visions. Where's the Eternals landed in that? Maybe
I,
we should do a show and break all this down.
Maybe we might have to, when we have some downtime in between MCU properties, we might need to go back and just take a look at everything. And because we did our phase 4 ranking, because I remember we did a
Yeah,
phase
we
4
did.
ranking with movies and TV shows. So we might need to come back and revisit and see where we stand right now.
Maybe some of them aren't as bad in comparison. 'Cause like you said, the new low has been set.
Yes. So that might
But
be
you
a
were
future
saying
thing.
earlier, you were saying earlier about something about DC.
Mm. Yeah. So my thing was that when the MCU was in the height of what they were doing, and they were
Mm-hmm.
they were banging out 3-4 movies a year, right?
Mm-hmm.
Making our way up to Infinity War and Endgame. DC also at the same time, DCEU they were also trying to hit their stride. They were coming out with
Mm-hmm.
the Aquamans, the Shazams,
Shazam!
going into Justice League, all of that kind of stuff. What was stopping them from doing the same thing that the MCU was doing?
What do you mean?
Why weren't they as successful?
They rushed to the spectacle.
That's what you
They
think it
rushed to their
was?
team up. Yeah, you got to remember, Phase One in the MCU, they wasn't thinking about bringing these things together. They would listen. It may be easy to
You
say
don't
that
think
now,
so?
but they were no. They were just like any other studio. They were clawing their way through. They risked it all on
I
Iron
mean,
Man, and Iron Man was a hit because it was the coolest shit that we done seen in a long time,
but what about the
and
post
it
credit scene?
happened. Listen, an ambitious Kevin Feige threw that in there, and I don't think that he didn't know that what he was going to do, he did. I think he took it out because he knew what he was going to do, that he did. It was no secret that to be able to make these connected universes happen, they were quietly trying to acquire back all the characters. It can only happen for so long because as you're quietly trying to uh, get your characters back, you're making noise because your movies are doing good, which is giving you the money to be able to get your characters back. So once that happened, you're like, oh man, they'll never freaking get Spider-Man because now everybody knows Marvel is doing. And then at this point in time, the conversation about buying Fox is there. So, it's like, we want this to happen because we're seeing the quality of movies that they're doing with the characters that we love. Yes, give them that the X-Men so we can have a great X-Men story. Because again, the groundwork was laid in the X-Men animated series. If you watch that iteration of the team, you loved it, you grew up on it. storylines resonated with you, that's pretty much the stuff that they're probably going to carry over into the cinematic universe. The movies did well. You love the characters. So after they botched the other movies, we're like, give it to Marvel. Yay, yay. Everybody was championing this, not knowing Disney now owns Fox and The Simpsons and everything else that Fox had.
Yeah.
It's just a part of the conglomerate now, right? So
Yeah, but to my point, it begs the question as to you had a studio production company who was basically, when they started the MCU, like you said, they were working with what they had: Iron Man,
yep,
Captain
all they
America,
got,
Thor. This
which
is what
were
we have,
not A-list characters.
right?
They were not. It
And
was for me. I was always an Iron Man fan. I hate that he blew up like he did because now everyone is. Not saying I don't want to share, but there are certain things about the
but
character. I gravitated towards that because they were like Sam in this movie, a normal guy, which gave us hope. But
mhm.
you couldn't just be a normal guy. Normal guy. Clearly, he is a super genius, philanthropist, billionaire, playboy, and Batman's a billionaire, playboy, philanthropist.
Without
If
as
you're rich,
much tech.
if
But
you're
my
rich
thing
enough,
is
you can
that
be Iron Man
you have
or
a
Batman.
studio production company who is working with they're making the best of what they have, right?
Right.
Because they know they don't have Spider-Man, they know they don't have X-Men, they know they don't have the Fantastic Four, which are the characters that people were familiar with to this point. And so they're taking your Iron
Yes.
Man, they're taking Thor, they're taking Captain America, who people have heard of. Their character, it's not like they were just nobodies, but
They were
they're bringing them to the forefront, bringing them to
decent
the
characters,
spotlight,
yes.
making us care about them with the movies that we were given.
And we got 3 movies. We got 3 before we got we got 2 before a team up. We got Iron Man 1, Iron Man 2, we got Captain America 1, we got Thor 1.
So that's 4, and then technically the Incredible Hulk is in there too. So that's 5 movies before
before the team up.
Avengers.
And we casually introduced Black Widow and Hawkeye in separate properties, but it
Right.
made sense
We got
that they have history. They work together
yeah.
already. So
So we got Black
it
Widow, we got
worked.
Hawkeye, we got Nick Fury, we got Maria Hill, we got
Mm-hmm.
Coulson. All of our supporting, well, Black Widow and Hawkeye not supporting characters, but we get introduced to Shield. All of our Shield
Yes.
characters come in as sort of supporting cast in these origin story films. But what I'm saying is that Marvel, who was working with what they had, versus DC, who had free reign of all of their
Mm-hmm.
biggest characters, all of their
It was
biggest
already
names.
set up.
You have like you're talking about, the animated shows, which we grew up loving. People loved Batman the animated series, Superman the animated series,
Oh,
Justice League
oh,
Unlimited. People grew up
what?
knowing these characters, but that's the thing that I don't understand, why it was so hard for DC to roll out a game plan to be just as good, if not better, than what MCU was doing. But like you said, they were rushing to try to get it done. They were trying to rush to get to the Justice League before we fully fleshed out every single character. We should have gotten
Yeah.
a Flash movie
So they
before the
showed the
Flash showed up
Avengers
in the
with
Justice
$1 billion,
League.
and they would say, "Oh, well, we got those characters. We could just put them in a movie and team." And you can. I'll be honest with you. You can. There are so many iterations of a Justice League coming together or forming together animated movie or animated series of how they come together. They come together in various different kind of ways, and it works. And it works. But I think you got the controversy in with the director that you had. Um, you handled things poorly, and you wasn't aware that he would have a fan base like he had a fan base. And then he made a 9-hour epic superhero pick about slow motion.
Right.
I to this day I haven't watched it because I know it's not gonna resonate with me. It just no, I'm good. It's okay. But I think if you would have had a different decision on that, I guess they call themselves listening to the fans and giving the fans what they wanted because they're a champion free to Snyderverse that didn't exist. So they gave the man a bunch of money to make it exist. They manifested a movie, and
Well, I mean, they weren't screaming release the Snyder Cut until it had already came out, because what, it was Snyder, it was Whedon worked on it first and then it switched to Snyder, or was it Snyder first and then switched to Whedon?
it was Snyder. Snyder had an emergency, a medical family emergency that he had to step away from, and that's millions of dollars on the line. So
Right.
they got Whedon to come in, and then when Whedon came in and finished it off, it
He
was poorly
changed a whole bunch
received.
of stuff. And I can
Right.
understand, because people are like, okay, well, we were already anticipating this movie by this director who's famous for this, this, and this. So we know what type of stuff that he's used to doing.
This is coming from the same man that said he wanted to kill the superhero genre. So I don't understand how he got the keys to the kingdom in the first place. He's interviewed for saying that. That alone should have said, nah, let's find somebody else that's kind of more open to the material and kind of read the material. So I think the lack of vision, you need somebody like James Gunn there. You need somebody like Kevin Feige there that's going to look beyond the characters and understand the characters, but look beyond them and say, okay, that's this character. What are they doing? Because even though we're ankles deep into the new DCU, yeah, that's right. No more
Yeah.
E. Get the E out. Um, we've been introduced to a lot of characters thus far. To Weasel and Senior Flag, Flag Senior, Flag Junior, Viola Davis, Wilder character, um, Boomerang, Harley Quinn, Deadshot, Dead. Did we do Deathstroke yet? Not Deathstroke yet. Because he was in a post-credit scene. But we get all these other characters, right?
Mm-hmm.
None of these characters are alike. There's diversity. That's hard to do. Even in comics, you can only have the rough, rugged rebellion against the system Wolverine type of personality, and then you do it again. This your audience is going to be like, "Oh, you're just Wolverine Part 2, or you're Superman Part 2." Like, character is important,
Right.
and if you don't have somebody that have that vision to see that, then you're going to be following a cookie cutter, trying to catch up, following trends, trying to do what everyone else is doing. You got to set yourself apart. But I don't know, Spider. That's a great question because again, they have the ability to do so. I think they just saw the end result and it's like, we could do that. We have characters, just put them in a movie, which again can be done, but it has to be done by the right person. They should have got Sam Liu to do it. That's why you messed up. You
I
should have got
mean,
a good old Sam to do it. Sam's
this
done it.
that's not to say that he wasn't approached. He kind of wanted to just stick with animation, though.
I would have spent that animation right into a live. I would have had that whatever he did next because he's still there.
Yeah,
Whatever he
yeah.
did next, I would have took that into a dream sequence as a prequel and spinned it off into a live, man. I'm telling you, the guy's talented. He knows what he's doing.
Well, I want to piggyback off of something that you said, because you're saying that when you have characters who have similar characteristics, you have to make them stand out. You have to make them
Yes,
different. You have to make them their own. We're
yes.
looking at a movie which has three characters who are either a second iteration or they're a playoff of an existing character that we've already seen in the MCU. We have Sam Wilson as Captain America, we have Joaquin Torres as Falcon, and now we have Thaddeus Ross as Red Hulk. We've already had Steve Rogers as Captain America. We already had Sam Wilson be Falcon before. We've already had Bruce Banner be Hulk. So we have similar titles, but new
Mhm.
characters. So going into this movie, we have the challenge of making these characters different. But in the case of Captain America, do we have him hold up the same ideals that Steve Rogers did? Do we have him perform the same as Steve Rogers did? But we can't, right? Because Sam Wilson is not a super soldier. We can't
No, we
have him
can't.
do the same things that Steve did. We're not going to see Sam holding a helicopter preventing it from taking off, right? We're not going to
Not unless he
see
want his arm ripped off.
right. We're not going to see Sam do the amazing feats of strength that Steve Rogers did. But what we do get in Sam is his ability, where we were introduced to him and the very first time in The Winter Soldier was Sam being a counselor, being the type of person who understands and can relate to what a person is going through, to where he
Right.
can speak to them on a more emotional level, right? And instead
Sympathetic,
of
yeah.
being able to, where Steve Rogers was able to give rousing speeches and was able to bring people together, Sam Wilson has the ability to be able to reach someone on a level that they don't allow other people to get to, right? We saw this happen many a times, because instead of Sam always resorting to fighting first, he tried, his first course of action is try to talk somebody down. Hey, let's talk about this. Do we need to do
Yeah.
this? Think
Yeah.
about what you're doing, right? And so the
Could have been a
differentiating,
hostage negotiator.
exactly, somebody who can relate to people. And you got to think that that was one of the, I guess, like, most important things that they probably wanted to convey with this version of Captain America, with Sam Wilson's Captain America, because between um between Ross, between Joaquin, between Samuel Stearns, between Isaiah Bradley, everybody that he came up against in this movie, everybody that he was interacting with in this movie, it was almost a foregone like conclusion that he was going to try to reason with them in some kind of way. He did it with Sidewinder. He did it with Ross. He did it with, he did it with Stearns. So everybody that he came up against, he tried to reason with them to try to de-escalate the situation before it's like, okay, well, now I'm gonna have to kick your ass. Right? Even when he was in the church and he was fighting the big dude,
I
Copperhead.
tried.
He's like,
Tried to crack him down.
Copperhead is like, I'm gonna have fun beating you up or whatever, and Sam was like, look, we either gonna talk about it or we gonna be about it. It's like, we don't have to fight. I could just go run out the Sidewinder, but look, if you want to bring this to me, then we gonna have to do it.
He said, "Hey, I heard a real crack. That's you." Oh, let's just go ahead and get this over. Let's go ahead and
let's just
let's
shut
do
up.
this.
Let's just shut up and let's
All
fight.
right. That's determination. The question that you asked is, does he have the same ideals? I think he does. I think. Let me tell you what I appreciate about this movie, Spider. It's very aware of what it is,
Right.
and it's very comfortable being what it is. Now, I'm gonna go honestly on the board and say I did not go into this movie with any expectations, as I shouldn't on anything, because you need to give it a fair chance to see what it is and what it could be and what it should be. Um, so going into it and seeing how Sam is really coming off of the Sam Falcon and Winter Soldier,
Right.
because it's not Captain America, then it's Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Coming off of Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I can put those two together and understand where Sam is and how he is. And I don't think they skipped a beat on that. I think
No.
you can easily transition and have the same familiarity of understanding Sam as a character. But here's the thing. If you did not watch Falcon and the Winter Soldier, if you just came from Endgame to this, you still understand what's going on.
Right.
You still understand that it's not an easy situation that Sam just accepts this huge responsibility of being Captain America. Like, you're Captain America, and they don't shy away from letting it know that he was, even though we see him do things, we didn't regard him like that, but there high regard, and he should be. He's a hero. He stopped 2 alien invasions, um, and he, lost virginity on a tour. that needed to be announced for whatever odd reason, because I don't know why we wanted to know if Cap was a virgin, but clearly, it made the internet. They put it in the show.
Some people were curious, I guess. I don't know.
Put me down as not one of those people that was curious. I promise I didn't care. I mean, that's Peggy's fault. I mean, that's his own fault. Why did he jump out the plane?
He didn't have the shield. He couldn't cushion his landing. He didn't have the shield.
He's damn near indestructible. Listen, there wasn't torpedoes. There were ships on the plane. There wasn't bombs. There was like little remote
Listen,
planes.
we could do a whole dissertation until the end of that movie.
I don't understand why he had to crash the plane in the ice.
We are so far beyond that. It's
still Captain America.
No, I understand that it's still Captain America, but we can't go back and make sense of his decision in that moment.
No,
there's nothing that we can do to change that.
Let's blame it on the juice.
Blame it on something.
And the struggles of having him saying Bucky was full of shit, I should have took the serum. That is real, man. Like you sitting here, like earlier he got stabbed and cut. If I had the serum, I would be healing faster, right? I wouldn't be in pain. Now, keep in mind, don't get it twisted. I think there's still technology that can help them heal faster. We've seen that already when Clint Barton got hit and Dr. Cho was actually helping him with regenerate tissue.
Right.
So I know there's that tech in that universe. So to say, if that was somebody's gripe to say that, after he got that little hatchet to the midsection, they did say that was Kevlar weaving.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that would have lessened it.
Yeah, it wasn't as serious as it would have appeared to be.
Oh, but inside that fight, it appeared to be serious.
Yeah. But I mean, it didn't slow him down for a second.
But he's a man, a regular man.
He is.
He's not superhuman. And to see him get cut, and listen, it holds a different type of weight. And for him to, every time he picks that shield up, he knows what goes with it.
Right.
Like it's not just a fashion statement. He's picking up the weight of the country, of if not the world, every time he picks it up. It's heavy. For me, I would think so.
Oh, I agree.
But I went into this with no expectations, and I loved how they were able to stay true to Sam Wilson's character.
No, I definitely agree with that. And yeah, I will say that they did not stray from where we originally got to know Sam and how we got to know him and got to know the type of person that he is. And like you said, this movie is very aware of where it is, not only in the MCU, but where we are in the world today, because it knows that people aren't approving of Sam Wilson being Captain America. It's not Steve Rogers, it's a black Captain America, and there's, especially after the interview that Anthony Mackie did and said that Captain America doesn't just stand for America. He's not fighting just to say that he's fighting for America, right? It's the ideals of being a good person, the ideals of being equal, the ideas of treating people properly, right? It's not just American ideals, it's humane ideals, the ideals of humanity, the ideals of being a good man, which is what Dr. Erskine told Steve Rogers. Like, don't be a good soldier, just be a good man, right?
Right.
And so we get that arc.
The soldiers follows orders unquestioned.
Right. And so we get that arc of Steve Rogers as we go throughout the First Avenger, Winter Soldier, Civil War, where Steve learns about the Hydra's infiltration into S.H.I.E.L.D. We learn about the Sokovia Accords and how Steve is like, listen, we can't be a government-sanctioned unit because governments are corrupt. We found that out when what happened with S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah.
So when Hydra infiltrates again and they send us to go do some stuff that we know isn't right, are you going to just throw us in jail because we don't want to do it? And the answer was yes. But Steve isn't just following orders. Steve is being a good, decent person. And so now we get to see Sam do that as well, because we get to see Isaiah get framed, well, not framed, but being mind controlled, doing something that he had no control over, and Sam willing to say, well, let's investigate this first before we just condemn this man, because we have to be able to listen to reason and look at this person as a person, where maybe he doesn't like the government, he doesn't necessarily care for Ross, but that doesn't mean that he
has motive.
He has motive, but that doesn't mean that he's the type of person to do that kind of stuff. Because you think about it, a super soldier, if they wanted to, could run through Secret Service with almost no issue, right?
Well, to get not immortal.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I'm not saying they could literally go through them and not be hurt at all. But I'm saying it would take, because we saw they couldn't even catch him. They had to wait until Sam de-escalated the situation.
Moving, baby.
He was booking it through DC. Whoever they had as the stunt double stand-in for Carl Lumbly, they got the build right, because he's a big top heavy kind of dude. So they got the build right, and having him run through the streets, because of course they kept the shots far away so you don't see his face, and of course it's at night too. But no, he was booking it through them streets. I
love when we give props to the people that don't necessarily give props, like casting.
No, they absolutely deserve it. Yeah, but
finding body doubles is not as easy as you think.
No, absolutely not. But like I said, the thing about it is we see Sam get into Isaiah and we're like, look, we don't know what's going on, but you gotta stop, because if you don't, the alternative is going to be so much worse.
Exactly.
As much as he knows that Isaiah doesn't want to get locked up again, Isaiah is pleading like, they can't lock me up again. I can't go back there. But
dude,
Sam is like, we're going to figure this out.
My heart was dropping for somebody that's been not only in prison for 30 years, in prison, tortured, experimented on for 30 years.
Right.
You had to fake your debt to get out. Somebody had to take pity on you and fake you, like they had already set that up. That's gut-wrenching, heart twisting. But you're absolutely right. If he did not surrender, which is so funny though, because it's not like we're not aware that mind control exists.
Right.
Sam knows Bucky. Bucky's story is very well known of the mind control. In fact, I think that's the reason why he's able to run for political office, because he was like, I was under mind control. If anybody knows anything about mind control, I can speak about it firsthand.
Right.
And this is my way of atonement, because these things exist. Now, if they're not questioning, how do we not know that you're can't go under the influence of mind control again? That's really the question that we should be asking as, a political head. But clearly in the Thunderbolts, you see that he's in politics. I don't know how that works. I don't know if you could be a who was literally on the Interpol's warning list for blowing up. Even though he was framed, that was Zemo. But again, they don't put the retractions out like that.
Right. That's not always public knowledge.
Right.
The last thing a lot of these people know, and then even if they did, that some people won't read it. So the last thing I know is that you, Mr. Barnes, were on TV for blowing up this consulate. So why in the hell should I be voting for you?
That's crazy, but crazier things have happened.
Yeah, that is true.
Life.
but especially the and I know we're jumping all over the place here, but that last conversation that Sam and Joaquin had when Joaquin was in the hospital, and he
on your left,
he actually was on his right. Well, Joaquin was on Sam was on Joaquin's right because he was on the other side of the bed. But Torres is feeling bad because he's like, I let you down. I tried to be you and I couldn't hack it. I got hurt. He's like, I can't be on point like you are all the time. And to Sam's reply is like, The only reason that I'm on point all the time is because I feel like if I'm not, I'm letting down everybody who wants a seat at this table. Everybody who has the ability
How,
to be able to do what we do, but are not at the level that we are. If I'm not on point, I'm basically saying that I'm not good enough to be where I am right now. So I have to be
how
on point.
how meta is that? And I don't mean to say
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like you said, this movie is very aware of where it is. It's very aware of where it stands in both the MCU and both where we are in real life right now, because that's what people are saying. Oh well, Sam didn't take the super soldier serum. Like you say, he's just a dude. He's not Steve Rogers. And Sam has to be on point. Sam has to be able to do everything right, because the moment he slips up, the first thing we got it from Ross. You're not Steve Rogers. You can't be Steve Rogers. You'll never be Steve Rogers. You can't
and
do
I
the
wonder
things that
why
he
they
did.
took that out the movie. With the part where he says you're right, I'm not. They took that out the
They
movie.
took a
Because
lot of they took a lot of stuff out of the movie that they showed in the trailers.
Spider, why?
We were talking about this before. There were so many
The
reshoots
biggest
that were done. We don't know the reasoning behind why there were so many reshoots. Like you said, they had test screenings. The screenings didn't test well, so they went back and did a whole bunch of reshoots. But we don't know
I'm
exactly
not
what
mad
we had
about that
before.
because Giancarlo Esposito is somebody that you need in your franchise. I'm sorry. That's just dude. Every franchise, and he's listen. He might be the watcher. He's the most multiversal traveler. He is in everybody. You know, he's in Westworld. He's in DC. He's in The Boys. I don't know if
What was
he's
he
in
in
DC
DC?
yet. If he ain't, I'm sure he's coming.
I don't know if he was.
I don't know if he
But no,
was.
he
I think
yeah, he's definitely been involved in a lot of stuff.
there's been a lot since Breaking Bad. That's what I'm saying. Far Cry. Listen, he's out there. He's right around the corner somewhere. But that fight that he had with Sam,
Oh well, he
man.
voices Lex Luthor and Harley Quinn.
There you go.
And then in Star Wars, yeah,
Isn't he in doesn't he voice Norman Osborn in
in Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, no, that's Coleman Domingo.
that's Coleman Domingo?
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah. So I'm not mad about the reshoots. I mean, if you're looking at it and it's not looking great, granted, go back and get the biggest thing on this one, Spider, was the runtime, right? We were wondering, can they make a significant movie with that amount of runtime? This is the shortest Captain America movie out of all three.
mm-hmm.
You feel like they utilized it well, could have utilized it better? They feel like it was
I don't feel like we were shorted of anything. And I feel like if it was longer, then it would have just been padding the movie for runtime's sake. I don't feel like we didn't get anything that we needed. I'm just trying to think back on it. I'm trying to see, were there, no, I really don't feel like there was anything that we needed to expound upon at any point to where we needed more movie. I'm fine with the runtime.
some people were sit there saying things like, oh, either like the you take any events from 17 years ago because the Hulk was 17 years ago, almost a decade, 2 decades ago, and comparing this to that and saying this is a Hulk sequel, right? Because there's a Red Hulk in it, and the leader is in it who is also a Hulk villain,
Yeah.
and let's stack the odds here, right? In telling this story that has to be relatable to not just the audience, but has to have something to do with the main character, which is Ross.
Mm-hmm.
Ross is Italian. One of the big things in early MCU history was MCU can't do a villain. They don't know how to do villains.
Your villains are
We're
basically
getting
just
a
carbon
hero thing
copies of your
kind of down.
heroes.
Your villains are just punchable. This punch them. They didn't like that. And then here comes Michael B. Jordan and just kills the villain role.
Mm-hmm.
But he sets the standard of this is how a villain should be done. And we haven't seen that again until we saw Thanos.
Right.
It's like, oh snap. But in both situations, you had the story told from their perspective.
Right.
Even though it's a Black Panther story, it was a Killmonger story. And the personal tie-in was these two were brothers. The
Cousins.
brother came, killed. Well,
Oh, well, you talking about T'Chaka and
the king.
N'Jaka?
Yeah. And your father killed my father and left me there. It's a personal tie-in. Not only that, y'all up here living the sweet life. I'm talking living good.
Right.
And all the people that look like us is in like y'all is up here. Y'all got text, so y'all know. Oh, it was so drip with like so much venom. It's like
yeah,
all the people I had to kill. I'm keeping count, scarring myself. Oh, they tied the story in so well, just so I could get to you, just so I could kill you. Threw the man over a cliff. Damn. I'm your king now. Burn all this. You ain't seen nothing like it. And the AIT line, improv genius. Thanos comes along, shows he ain't the one to play with. Your biggest dude, no stones, sheer skill, whooped his ass, pure rage, nothing, chopped him in the throat. Oh. Send him home. Thor had to send him home because he's probably gonna get killed.
Probably.
The handoff sent him home, but Thor told him where to go telepathically. All right, because he just went to the Bleecker Street wizard, Doctor Strange, and that's exactly where he crashed to. So they couldn't do villains in this situation. Again, very self-contained. This is not a world-ending situation. This is not an Avengers level threat. Very self-contained. But this was a Ross story. The tie-in is because Ross and Sam know each other. The tie-in is because Ross says, I don't want to be that guy anymore. It's called so much. I'm sitting here now as the president. I want to reestablish a relationship with my daughter. And you got to think about it. If we're going off the Incredible Hulk story from last time with Edward Norton, to now, if they haven't been talking all that time, that's horrible. It just is. But again, we want to know, what are these characters doing since this is the gripe about the internet. What are they doing? I haven't seen Betty Rouse since the Incredible Hulk. That was 17 years ago. Okay, so now she's in this. Ta-da-ta-da. Why is she in it? Because again, we need a reason for him to not be a big old rage, fiery monster.
Mm-hmm.
Because we got to introduce the Red Hulk at some point, right? So why not this way? Because now you stack the deck. You got somebody that doesn't have the super soldier serum. How's he gonna deal with this Hulk? Again, we're making compelling stuff. So I can see how they come together with these ideas. How does he combat that? There's no way he should be able to survive. And you see through the power of empathy of Sam's character, he applied character-driven focus to try to de-escalate the situation.
Right.
That's the only thing that saved the day. That was it. Because other than that, if Ross didn't pay attention to the blossom trees that he was destroying and think about his daughter, it couldn't have went no other way. Right? If someone else would have came in and saved the day, then they would have took away from, the Captain America couldn't even save the day in his own movie.
Right.
We already see how that plays out. We saw that in Ant-Man and the Wasp. They learn from their mistakes. Oh, your villain got killed by ants. So if the ant thing didn't happen in Quantumania, Kang would be the one we were talking about this menacing. He's already supposedly killed Avengers. We didn't see it, but we heard about it. And if he would have killed Scott Lang, we would have known he was a threat. We could have brought Scott Lang in from another multiverse. That I'm just saying, we knew we was doing the multiverse. It's again, they don't know. They're putting it together as they go and try to make it make sense as they go. But you got to have somebody to have the vision to at least have the bigger picture. And as things start to do well, don't do well, then you start narrating those pieces together. Like there was no talk about Deadpool and Wolverine being in Doomsday or what's the other one?
Secret Wars.
Secret Wars. But after it hit $1 billion, you think they're not going to be in there? Of course they're going to be in there because your favorite characters are also in this movie. So come on, see them. It's business. I'm not mad about it, but it's fair that people are dumping on this movie, and the reason that they're dumping on it is it's not really clear. Because that's how I started this whole thing. Because people were saying, it's a sequel to the Incredible Hulk, and the leader doesn't have enough screen development, and why is it a Captain America movie that's not about Captain America? It's about Ross. But again, how will you have a villain for Sam? Sam's just becoming Captain America. He doesn't have villains. He had somebody that he had to fight while he was on a mission. He fought him. He was already working contracts, right? Because he was already working contracts in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. He was doing contracts. I don't know how that works because clearly he's not getting paid enough, but they never really get into that.
I mean, that was back in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I mean, I would imagine that things are different now because he's been Captain America for, I think they said like 3 years.
Yeah. Hopefully he's getting paid. I don't know.
I would imagine so if he's working for the government.
Well, he didn't want to work for Ross.
But he was already working for Ross.
This is also true. So I thought that was a weird thing. Why did they do it? Why?
I don't know. It was like, well, he wants me to restart the Avengers, but we be working for him. It was like, well, we're already working for him. Maybe not directly, but I mean, through the chain of command, working for the Department of the Air Force, you're working essentially for the president.
He could still cut your funding.
Exactly. So, I don't know.
You don't want to go? Yeah, all y'all funding cut.
And so for me, and like you say, I know that there's a lot of complaints about the story of the movie, but for me, my biggest complaint will be with some of the dialogue choices in writing. Like, I understand that, and it could be just because of.
Are you referring to my daughter comment?
You already knew where I was going with it.
You heard from Betty?
My
daughter?
Exactly. And it's like, it was always paired. It was always my daughter, Betty, my daughter, Betty, my daughter. And it's like, I understand that because we in this space, we've watched all of the MCU movies before. We have the prior knowledge of who Betty is. And I feel like there was a better way, because I know that they want to tie it in for Betty to be his anchor. That's his heart. That's the thing that's going to bring him down when he's upset. Yes. So we have to establish that. Low. Yes. Yeah, essentially that. But the way that they introduce it, because of course you have to introduce it for the casual moviegoer who may not know who Betty is. But you can say, oh, have you heard from my daughter? That first reference, have you heard from my daughter? It's like, no, she hasn't called. And like, okay, fine.
Quite the opposite. You can say, have you heard from Betty? And they say, no, sir, your daughter has not called.
Yeah.
That's easy.
That's easy. But it really felt like it was so forced that he had to reiterate that Betty was his daughter every single time he brought her up.
I am Optimus Prime.
And it just seemed like a lot of things got overstated in the dialogue, which it really didn't need to. Like the moment between Sam and Bucky, that when they were talking and they were going back and forth, amazing. For Sam to be like, Steve made a mistake. I should have took the serum. And so Bucky was like, and then what? What do you think would have been different? Steve had the serum, and he still couldn't save everybody. And the thing about it is that it's not mentioned, but like if you think about it, Bucky's talking about himself. Steve had the serum, and Bucky still fell off the train. He still lost him.
Spider. God damn, Spider. I was thinking about the Thanos thing, but you're absolutely right. He did have the serum when Bucky fell off the train.
Right. And then on top of that, yeah. So him making that point to Sam was like, just because you have super strength, super speed, all this other kind of stuff, doesn't make you any more of a hero. And not having those things doesn't make you any less of a hero. And being able to have that impactful moment and then immediately cut it with, your speechwriters help you with that, dude, didn't they? He was like, yeah, they did. He was like, it was emotional, but just enough. Just a bit. And that's playing on that chemistry that the two of them have.
I took it as that, and I know they were trying to play the political thing, and I guess it serves both masters, right? Because you can do both things. But I really just took that as them riffing off of each other, because
that's how they are.
He said the same thing to Steve though, because he's like, "Did you make that up?" Or
did you make that up beforehand? Did you write that beforehand, or did it was like just off the cuff?
That's just how they kind of rip off each other. So I just took it as that, even though I know the political aspect, and he played into it like, yeah, they wrote it, and it could be served both duties, I guess. But it was impactful, yes.
Right, and that conversation, and like I said, the conversation that Sam and Torres had at the end, where Torres was like, I was that kid in Miami looking up to superheroes, and I was like, I want to be like them because I want to be the one that can come out of. We don't go too deep in Joaquin's backstory, but clearly he was in maybe a lower class situation living in Miami. So he wanted to get out, join the military, make something of himself. But he's looking up to these superheroes and like, I wanted to be like Sam Wilson. Now, I don't know how the timeline works. Yeah, I don't know how much Sam had been in the public eye to where he, be that role model. But
he was not in the battle for New York.
He wasn't in the battle of New York.
He was in the battle of Wakanda.
He was in the battle of Wakanda. He was in the battle for Earth.
Yes, and those are way bigger than New York.
True. But then at that point, we're looking again. Torres was already in the military at that point, because by the time we meet Torres in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, he's already a lieutenant. So he's been in for a minute. But, working with Sam over those past 3 years to now he's a captain, he's gotten to see Sam work and he's gotten to learn more about him. I understand the respect that he has for Sam, but what I didn't like was the fact that they kind of reduced Torres to this eager kid. Almost like, I understand he's supposed to be a sidekick, they're working together, but he's like, oh, well, you got to teach me this, you got to teach me that, to the point to where it's like, I know he's to a point in his military career where he should have a sense of decorum, have a sense of control. So when they're both going after a missile and Sam is telling Joaquin, pull back, and Joaquin's like, no, I got it, because he has it in his mind that he wants to prove something, I feel like he should have known better. Like let Captain America lead. You've been following his lead this entire movie. Why at this point in time?
That you're capable, though, Spider. Sometimes you want to go.
But I don't feel like that there was anything.
You just didn't want him to get hurt.
I feel like there was nothing to show that Sam had any doubt in Torres' ability, to where he felt like he had the need to prove himself in that moment.
Adrenaline's pumping, Spider. You're out there in the clouds. You're feeling invincible.
I guess
zip-zapping, bullets flying by your face.
Listen, but it goes to
sometimes you're gonna go for it because you're like, I got this.
But it goes to what you're saying, and I think it was really just a plot device in order to get Torres out of the picture, because, like you said, going up against Red Hulk at the end, if Sam wasn't able to do it by himself, then that was going to be the thing that everybody said, oh, well, Sam needed Falcon in order to beat up, the Red Hulk. But nobody said that about when Steve and Bucky went
beat the shit out of Tony Stark.
Right. Nobody ever said anything about Steve in that moment. But it is what it is. But yeah,
Beat the
no,
brakes off his suit.
I just no, they're just some of the and again, going back to the impactful conversations, anytime Sam had these one-on-one conversations with people, that's where the movie shined. But it's like all of the conversations everywhere else in between, Sam talking to Isaiah, Sam talking to Bucky, Sam talking to Ross, Sam talking to Torres. Those are the moments where it's like his character as this grief counselor, this PTSD counselor, all of that came out, and I feel like that's where he was at the top of his game. But everything else, the dialogue is like it was a lot of hit or miss for me.
What in particular are you referring to?
Like I said, with the thing with Joaquin and him, the dialogue between Joaquin and Isaiah when talking about, I ripped the plastic off his phone. Oh, you want me to show you how to make the font bigger? Or, the just those little interactions. I know it was supposed to be like put in for comedy, but it didn't really seem like it didn't really fit. And I'm guessing that it was all to service the whole plot point of the phone being the thing that triggered him, the mind control stuff. But
yeah, because he took the screen off, but we didn't know.
I don't think that the plastic really made that big of a difference. It was all the lights. The lights would have flashed in his face regardless.
Right, but he got a full doses versus the little privacy screen. Here's what I do know. I do know this because that's the whole thing that I heard about the Red Hulk too. There was like the complaint was, the Red Hulk does this and he uses guns and he's a badass. And Marvel is very aware of what their characters are, what their characters do, but they very skillfully, carefully depower and drop character development.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about this on the show all the time. We talked about it before. They do this to be able to take the character places in the story. They're not going to start out with any. Adam Warlock is probably one of the most powerful characters in the MCU.
Mm-hmm.
They made him a child.
Yes.
On purpose. And they gave you the excuse that you pulled him out of the pod too early.
Right.
In the world universe excuse of why he's now childlike. But as he grows through movies, his intelligence will increase. He's not even human, so he's more like
you think we're getting Adam Warlock coming back?
I don't think we're gonna get anything remotely close unless they pay James Gunn a gazillion dollars to come back and do. They say Star-Lord will be back. I just don't see it.
Right.
And maybe he will come back. Maybe Gamora will come back. Drax is not coming back.
I don't think Gamora's coming back. I feel like they made it pretty clear that Gamora wasn't coming back. I mean, yeah, she's the leader of the Ravagers, but I don't think she's coming back. I feel like they've all moved on from Guardians.
This is what I'm thinking as well, though. Marvel is smart about this because in this movie, even though there's stakes, there's consequences, you can feel the weight because again, no super soldier, he could die. We didn't die. No one died.
No one died. And that's something that is very rare for MCU movies, is that none of the villains died. Everybody got locked up.
They'll kill a villain quick on you.
Oh, yeah.
They'll kill him. And they've learned to stop doing that because
now you can't bring them back.
You only have so many villains and you can't bring them back. And you're not going to make it's hard to establish a villain without the pre-existing conditions. They've already made 3 new heroes. They made Birdie. They made Chakari.
Cohorty.
Who else did they? Cohorty?
Yeah.
Somebody else is. Did they make 3? Who else is new? It's like a new. They never knew somebody. I can't remember right now. But they have no problem introducing heroes.
Mm-hmm.
What new villain have they introduced? None. It's not as easy.
Villain that we haven't heard of before?
That we never heard of before. because you have to give them again a compelling. There's no villains that start out being villains. There's nobody just wake up and say world destruction,
Right.
denomination. Ha ha ha. They start on a path of they're thinking that they're doing the right thing, and then through gray, morally questionable activities, they end up being perceived as a villain. I
Right.
think we've seen some things like that before. We're looking. I think we just watched that Invincible episode. Those guys that were robbing a bank, due to the circumstances, they're robbing a bank because they're at their wits end. They're homeless. They're trying to figure it out. But
Mm-hmm.
the superhero shows up. You're just a bank robber to me. I'm here to punch you
Right.
and arrest you. So there's no, hey, what are you guys doing? What's going on? Because Captain America wasn't there, Spider. Captain America would ask you, hey, what's going on? You
Right.
shouldn't be robbing these banks. Let's talk about it. Now, if you throw something at him, he gonna put his shield up with his vibranium wings and block it. Now it's on. But
Right.
I tried to talk to you. Don't say that I didn't try. So you get the shield to the face. Even when he landed, it was like, wait for it.
but so here's another thing. So to your point, we're talking about developing villains. Okay. And we get the line from Samuel Stearns, the leader. He's like, you don't understand why I'm doing this. You don't get it. I'm the hero in this story because Ross did me wrong. Do we feel that the leader is supposed to be perceived as this person who's a certified genius to the point to where he can foresee outcomes based on the statistical probability of what people have done in the past, which
has never been really explained. That's not how it works in the comics. In the comics, he's a super genius.
Yeah, the comics, he's just smarter than smart, like smarter beyond than, Tony Stark levels of genius. He's just a super
Reed
genius.
The leader is like right there.
Right.
Dr. Doom is up here. Tony Stark's up here.
Yeah.
He's in that category.
Right. And so here's the thing, because that's what they wanted to drive home every time, like when Sidewinder got caught, and first thing that Sam tried to do was talk to him like, hey, did you come all the way to DC just to blow up my truck? You know, like you had to know that we was going to catch you and bring you in. And he said, the buyer told me that there was a 77% statistical probability that the first thing that you try to do is talk me down. And so, of course, that gave him a bit of a surprise, attack on him, because he already knew that Sam was going to try to approach him and have a conversation with him rather than just cuff him and take him in. But at every single turn, even when they got to Camp Echo 1, which is probably the least secure military black site or government black site ever. You could just walk on in. You just walk on it, cut through the fence, walk on in. There's no sensors on the fence. There's two guards walking just in opposite directions. Must have been COVID. Sam and Torres were having the loudest conversation trying to get into that door. Popped the keypad open, hot wired it. The door was so damn loud, both when it opened and closed, to where it just closes and the two guards pass again. It's like,
just so happened to be one.
Tell me that there's no way that they saw or heard what happened. They're just walking around with earplugs in.
I saw nothing. I was on my phone. I'm a millennial.
They listening. They got their AirPods in, because they're like, nobody shows up here. We know when Ross is going to show up. Ross is not scheduled to show up tonight, so we just making it look like we working and whatever. It's ridiculous that they didn't get caught getting in there. But they get in, and Stearns is like, there was just a small chance, or whatever the percentage was, that they would show up, because he made it to where he mind controlled the guard at the prison to shoot the other shooters and to make Sam think that Isaiah was in trouble. So he was like, oh, well, there was an 87% chance or whatever high percent chance that you were going to go back and check on Isaiah, that you weren't going to show up here. And literally from that point forward, everything that Sam did it made the leader frustrated because Sam went past his
Wasn't doing,
his foresight of statistical probability.
probability.
So how are you going to create a villain where his power, that the way that they portrayed it in the movie, was that he's so smart, he can control everything by statistical probabilities. He knows how everything's going to turn out. But the one time he comes into Sam's crosshairs, it all goes out the window, and everything that he thinks Sam is going to do, Sam doesn't do. And it just makes him look so ineffective as a villain. And for him to come in and say that, oh, I'm the hero now, after he's shot these guys, first of all, ruined their lives because their careers are over. They're in jail now because they attempted to assassinate the president. They're in jail. Now they're dead. The guard who shot him is also dead. That random guy that he went to his house, shot him, shot his wife, shot his kids. And then he wants to come out and say, oh, well, I'm the hero. Gave the sergeant or whoever from SEAL Team 6, gave him a heart attack. Killed him.
Yes.
But I'm the hero. Because I'm getting back at Ross and letting the world see what a monster he is. I'm the hero.
Yeah. He's in his mind, again, in his mind, he's the hero. You're killing people, dude. Remember we had the conversation, hero, anti-hero, anti-villain,
right?
Villain. So he falls into the villain category.
He's straight up a villain.
Teetering with anti-villain because he's justifiably doing something. Like, if I could show the world how bad the president is, then woe is me. You'll understand that. I mean, don't get it twisted.
What was his goal after that happened? So, if he shows the world that Ross is now a Hulk, or he potentially starts a World War III with U.S. going against Japan in this fight for adamantium, after all of that's done, does he just leave with a sense of satisfaction? Is that what his entire goal was?
I think the idea of world domination kind of played a part into it, but later on...
Is that what he wanted? I absolutely didn't get that.
The biggest thing that he wanted to do was expose Ross. Because rightfully so, he's been locked up since the Incredible Hulk. Ross blamed the whole Harlem situation
on him.
On Stern.
Yeah, he let him take the fall for that.
I'm like, Stearns
gave Blonsky the blood, so he the one that turned him into the abomination.
This is true.
But it was at the behest of Ross. No, technically,
also true.
Technically, Ross is the one that gave it to him first to make him enhanced. But he technically did up the dosage to make him the abomination. That was Stern's fault.
So he pinned it all on him. He took no responsibility whatsoever.
None.
And Stearns is like, that's messed up. And then Ross is like, don't worry about it.
I'll fix it for you.
If you can fix the situation with my heart.
Right.
Because remember, he was having heart issues, which was alluded to in
Civil War and Infinity War.
Heart attacks.
Yeah.
That he had heart conditions. The man didn't want to die. Especially he didn't want to die not making things right with his daughter. So you have the idea of change in a character. This is a Ross-driven story. Can Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross change from being everything he was in the Incredible Hulk previously before,
is what they call him.
That's his old name, because that's all he was doing.
I've never heard them call him Hulk Hunter in the comics.
Back in the day. Yeah. Back in the days, that's all he was. He was obsessed with it. That's all he wanted. If he tracking him down, he was obsessed with it. Ignored his daughter. It's crazy.
How did he get the funding to repeatedly sanction missions to go after the Hulk, but repeatedly come up empty-handed? Like, how, whoever was his superiors, what is it that they saw that was like, oh, we have to keep letting him do this?
The devastation of when you're fighting the Hulk is enough evidence that you need more funding.
Subdue him. He has to be stopped.
I need more funding. But you got to think about it again. The technology that they're using, it's not 100% ineffective. We've seen they have those sonic cannon waves that they use on the Hulk that they miniaturized in the MCU now, and they still use. They use it on She-Hulk.
Mm-hmm.
So we now have all these Hulks running around. I wouldn't want them.
Didn't they use it in Miss Marvel too?
Crazy. They also used it in Miss Marvel. They also
And then
used
they
the
use
Tony
it.
Stark drones.
Yeah, the drones had it, and they also used it here at Camp Echo One. That was what was like blasting down on top of Sam. When Stearns knew he
That's
was going to lunge at him.
that's crazy. That's crazy. But here's the thing. You got to understand something too, Spider. In comic books, there's a responsibility, right, of not making your origin story anything that, because remember, this is supposed to have been targeted to kids.
This movie?
That's why every or comics in general.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah.
So in origin stories and creating villains and heroes, it has to be so outlandish, outrageous, undoable that nobody tries to do it.
Right.
No one tries to. So many kids was getting bit by spiders and not telling their moms and dads and get sick and have to go to the hospital because they thought they were going to be Spider-Man. Like, I'm going to be Spider-Man now. No, you're gonna lose your hand if you don't tell somebody what happened to you. But at the Flash, like he has the power of the Speed Force, they can't even tell you what happened. It was a chemical reaction mixed with lightning. These are all kind of chemicals. You know, it's always toxic, but we don't know what's in it.
Right.
You know, it's brand X. It's impossible things you can ever do. So I can understand the reasoning that they went with the choices that they went with in the MCU as far as the leader. Because one of the things that I heard people griping about is that he looked stupid, silly, ridiculous. They don't want people putting blood inside of their blood and thinking that they're going to be smart or something remotely crazy to that.
Yeah,
So
but I mean, I feel like
he looks like a
there's the
toxic Avenger, is what he looks like.
he did that. You're absolutely right. But no, there's the just a little, the little detail of that blood being gamma radiated that I don't think that anybody can necessarily replicate.
Well, radiation is real. You could put something in the microwave.
No, yes, radiation is real, but you can't necessarily just get your hand on gamma irradiated blood.
I sure hell hopes not.
And my whole thing, like
if you do, you're gonna look bad. You're gonna die.
Yes,
you ain't got no healing factor.
No,
and he doesn't have strength. He doesn't have speed. He has nothing but intelligence. It's like he got the worst of the deal because he looks like that. So,
but here's my thing: if they would have made it to where we had some part of the movie where he actually thwarted Sam, where he was actually like he got somewhere, because him trapping Sam into like his cell, I don't feel like that was him thwarting him. I felt like that was him just being opportunistic and getting lucky, because I mean, it wasn't like they had to do this grand thing to get out of the cell. They literally reached their hand in between the bars, hit the button, and that's how they were able to get out. That's not a trap.
I just need you out of my way. You wasn't even supposed to be here. I understand what you were saying about the probabilities, but probabilities are not absolute.
Right.
It's just predicted that you're going to do this, and when you didn't do that,
he had no backup plan.
You're different. You're different, and they wanted to show you're different. You're different. There's subtext in the movie. You're different. You're supposed to be over here, but you're here. I'm not ready for you yet. Get in the cell and get out of here.
The only time when they were in the cell and Sam lunged at him and he hit the button and got him with the sonic cannon thing, he yelled at him, "Stop being boring." Right? So you would think that, oh, okay, so he knows at this point everything that's what Sam's gonna do. So we should have this whole cat and mouse game for the rest of the movie, but we don't get that. How are you gonna? You can't tell us that we have this villain now who's so smart, who can calculate everything, who can see all the possibilities, and
he can see possibilities. He's not so smart. And that's the deviation.
And that's what made it so
not the leader
awful for me. He is not the leader. And to be fair, they never called him the leader. They never called him the leader. He never called himself the leader. But you can't tell us that this guy is so smart and then don't let him be smart. they made it such a big thing about the statistical probabilities, but we never got to see him come out on top because he foresaw the
There's
statistical probability of somebody doing something. Even
there's
when he
nothing
was
that
on the
he did
phone
that
trying to
made sense.
get Ross to rage out in a destroyer, the battleship, the aircraft carrier, whatever kind of ship they were on. He tried to get him to Hulk
Yeah,
out. He couldn't even do
yeah,
that.
yeah. He was trying to pull a Loki. That's what he was trying to do from Avengers 1, to trying to get the Hulk out.
Yeah,
But
he's up there with one of the most ineffective
but
villains that we've got in the MCU.
don't say that, because he's able to do exactly what he wanted to do, which is expose Ross. And he's no longer the president. He's in the raft now.
Yeah,
So he actually won
he
for what he was trying to do.
yeah he just
Think about it.
you're
Your
right. You're right.
captor, now here's what the twist is, because I'm gonna give you the whole thing. He's mad about Ross imprisoning him and making him work for him, finding a cure, saving his life,
Right.
slowly gamma poisoning him, but yet and still giving him a concoction of some sort that is not poisoning him. He's Stearns knows he's gonna become a Hulk at some point in time. That's why he's trying to irritate it out of him.
Yeah.
But you're upset that he held you in capture. There's no point in time you were captured in this movie.
No.
Like, you were free roaming every which way, breaking in houses, killing people on the phone, using their data plan. Like, you just was doing whatever you wanted to do, even to a point where you turned yourself in, which is that part was silly, because you didn't need to turn yourself in to expose Ross.
He didn't.
But if you know the probability of what's coming, you may think that this is the safest place for you to be.
Because he fully believed that Ross was going to kill Sam. And I guess he may have thought that if he was still out, then the next person that Ross was going to come after was him.
Potentially, or he'll have to take the blame for that too.
Potential. Yeah, possibly. But
You know,
how
Ross
would
will
he
throw that blame out.
how would he be able to take the blame for that without Ross admitting that he was also at fault for
Well, Ross
Harlem?
wasn't going to admit it because Ross already knew the truth.
But here's the thing.
Like,
So bear with me on this. So Stearns doesn't turn himself in. Ross kills Sam. Has to explain how he became a Hulk. If he's going to throw Stearns under the bus, say that he gave me this medication that gamma radiated my blood, how does he admit to getting that medication from him, working with him, if he's supposed to be imprisoned?
Ross is probably the king of spin. Don't worry about it. He would have narrated the story, but he had no intentions on doing that.
Is he the king of spin because of him working with Stearns and Stearns feeding him lines to know where his career would go? But if he doesn't have that anymore,
that's the only way he was able to probably become president.
Right, but if he doesn't have that anymore, Stearns is gone. How does he navigate that now?
Who says that he was gonna be gone?
You think he was going to go back and work with Ross?
I think that as president, he would have deployed whatever team. Maybe that's the reason that he wanted to get the Avengers together again, to go after Stern.
Well, at that point, he wasn't aware that Stearns was gone, or that Stearns was on the verge of breaking out. When he told Sam that he wanted Sam to rebuild the Avengers, he was still under the impression that Stearns was still helping him out.
We got three different things going on in this movie. We got the leader and his revenge on Ross. We got Ross dealing with, can he change and become a good man?
Right.
And the answer is no, because again, we know what he's done to Stearns, and he's not taking responsibility for that.
Right.
And that's what he's struggling with, even though he wants to be a good man. And then we have Sam as Captain America, under all kind of scrutiny and the pressure of being Captain America in this movie. Those are three plot points that we got going on, the three narrative stories that we're following. So all of it has to connect. Remember, we said at the top of the show, it's all connected. So the connection with Ross and Sam is because we knew each other since Infinity War and Endgame, to Sokovia Accords, which broke the Avengers up. and then the leader who knows Ross. The connective tissue is Ross. So now you have all these three components, and you're seeing how they're struggling with each part of the component. Sam's side story is he got Torres now. He's looking out for him. Torres is gonna be Torres right now, and as the next movie comes, he'll get because he was kind of still a fanboy in the Winter Soldier. He's like, "Can I have your wing?" It's like,
True.
you know, can I have it? So he's still staying true
And
to
that's
the
what I'm
character.
saying. It's been 3 years since that point. So I feel like he should have grown out of that. He's been working with Sam this whole time. He shouldn't be so starstruck as he is.
When will we have saw that? Didn't you say see, show not, don't tell?
Yeah, but if you're gonna tell me that if I can take any celebrity that I am like, oh my God, it's you. And then I'm working with them day in, day out for 3 years. 3 years later, I'm not still going to be like, oh my God, it's you. I can't believe I'm working with you. I have 3 years to adjust to that.
I would still be kind of like that. I ain't gonna lie. Like if I was in a
I
situation
guess
that I
we're
get
two
to
different
work with,
people.
like, no, I'm gonna be honest. Like if you really working with somebody, I think about if you go to the studio and you work with Dr. Dre. Don't get it wrong. Don't get it twisted. I don't know what you're saying. Just like at some point in time, you'd be like, man, that's just straight, man. You know, that's just weird.
I'm not saying that you still don't hold him in that regard as it's somebody that's impressive. You're honored to
But
be
you're
able to
not
work
gonna
with them.
be.
But yeah. Oh, you got to teach me your moves. You got to teach me that kick. Like if he haven't taught you to kick in 3 years, come on now. I don't know.
You're thirsty. You're thirsty, Mackie. Slow down. What Sam saying? Sam said it's been 3 years. I haven't learned how to get him to shut up yet.
Right.
So again, he's staying true to his character.
I guess. I don't
But
know.
you got a lot.
I
A
felt
lot of
like it
different
was
plates
a bit
spinning.
much for him.
You gotta remember, he has to start somewhere, and then we have to grow him. We can't start him out at the top of whatever you want him to be.
But one thing that I
Even
will say for this movie
what's
that I
that?
thought was a high point for it, I thought that the CG on Red Hulk looked amazing.
Well, they
Like,
had time.
yeah, they definitely had time. But from his transformation in front of the White House to him like hulking out and enraging and like him going through the White House and them fighting on top of the White House and then him jumping all across
Oh,
DC, I
yeah.
thought they that was incredible. I will say the
Yes.
CG did take a hit when they got to that little cherry blossom island and Sam, it was like after they had fought and Sam was talking to him and trying to get him like talk him down. That one shot is just that had to be a reshoot that they shot on the soundstage because the rest of it didn't look that bad. You could definitely tell that a lot of it was CG, but it was just that one shot where he was standing there. It looked awful.
I think they had a cluster on their hands,
But
and
I
they
would love to
realized
know
they had a
what went
cluster
wrong.
on their
I would
hands.
love to know what the movie started out as and why they needed to change certain things.
This is not unheard of, though, Spider. In the Captain
No. It's
America
absolutely
Civil
not
War,
unheard of.
they changed it from having that whatever virus was too close to COVID.
Yeah.
It was a so they changed it as a
And see,
bi or something, whatever
and
Black Widow called.
not to say that excuses the show because I don't know how good or how much better the show would have been had they followed the original plot points rather than what they had to rush and re-edit to do. But it makes you wonder, would the story have been more cohesive or would have made more sense, would have not had these like little plot holes in it and these like points to where it's like, okay, I guess we're gonna go with that. But you I don't know, just part of me is curious. I would love to know. I know I'm never gonna know, but I would love to know what the original vision was that we were supposed to get out of the movie instead of what it is
I
was that we
bet you
got.
I bet you this is better. Clearly, because
I
they
mean,
changed it.
because we were supposed to get
You
more. We were
literally
supposed to get
got.
more of the Serpent Society. We were supposed to. They were supposed to be a bigger
Did you
like.
did you want to see Seth Rollins? Is that what it
I
was?
mean, it
You were
doesn't really
waiting.
have anything to do with Seth Rollins, but if we have the leader orchestrating the Serpent Society to be this sort of foe to Captain America, while Stearns is orchestrating from prison, from his cell, so it can make it seem like there's nothing that he's doing. He's being completely innocent, but the guy that's watching him, he's mind controlling him. So that way, every time Ross calls, oh yeah, I'm watching him. He's right here. He's just minding his business, reading his book. So no one's the wiser to know that the leader is doing it, but everything else that's going wrong in the world, he's secretly behind it. We're talking about big bads, talking about making villains actually formidable.
No, he's not a big bad at this current point.
Well, I'm not talking about big bads to where he's the overarching villain of the next 5 movies or whatever. No, I'm saying the leader is not absolutely not that. What I'm saying is that make him a villain that's actually threatening, to make it to where
he can't fight.
That's what I'm saying. He controls the other people. He controls the Serpent Society who can fight. He controls people in the military who can, because when you think about, oh, this guy can get to anyone. But if you think about it, this guy can get to anyone. It's what Secret Invasion should have been. You don't know who to trust. You don't know who's going to pop out. You hear that Mr. Blue song. Next thing you know, you have a gun to your head from your best friend.
Yeah, why did Torres play it in the hangar with all those guys?
Because he is an insane person.
Like, dude, that is not the... Oh, okay, it makes sense now that we're clear. It makes sense that we're clear.
That was a bold choice. That was a very bold choice.
We could have like turned the volume down and slowly watch as we turned it up.
Just see if anybody like have a blank stare on their face, like just no warning. They'll be like, well, let's do a test to see if anyone in here has been affected. They had no idea. That would have been crazy. Oh my god, yeah, he went wild with that one.
What do we feel about the Black Widow being like, even though Yelena was out there, freeing widows as they come into the society?
Oh, I feel like
working in government.
She was such a non-factor.
She was not non-factor. Not to say that she wasn't, portrayed well. She just, if you would have took her out the movie, nothing would have changed.
Because let's run down what she was able to accomplish. She came in when Sam was like, we need to investigate what happened with Isaiah, and Ross was like, how is it going to look? Think about the optics. How is it going to look? Captain America leading an investigation of his best friend who tried to assassinate the president. And then it comes to turn out, oh, well, he's innocent. No, that ruins all the credibility of Captain America, which 100% makes sense. So she comes in, what was her name? Ruth Bat-Saraf. So Ruth comes in. She's like, Ross says, okay, you head up this investigation. So Sam is like, Sam, stay out of it. So Sam's like, fuck you, I'm going to do what I want to do. Sam goes back, starts investigating, has Joaquin go over all the surveillance footage. Torres finds out that there had to be some kind of mind control based on the lights coming from Isaiah's phone. And he sees the same thing on the other shooters. At that same time, Ruth finds out the same thing. But because
not at the same time,
they were looking at the footage simultaneously. Because I remember it was at the same time, because I was like, Torres hacked into the White House security footage at the same time that Ruth is looking at the White House security footage. So I was thinking in my mind, oh, there's going to be some type of somebody else is accessing these files while you're trying to access it, and that's how they were going to get caught. But that didn't happen. So regardless, Sam has Sidewinder's phone.
In that universe, that's not how
that's not how the technology works. But Sam has Sidewinder's phone, so he was able to trace back the call to Stearns back at Camp Echo 1. So they're on their way to Camp Echo 1. Ruth is on her way to the prison to go talk to the shooters. Because Stearns knows that she's going to show up at the prison, he was like, well, I'm going to mind control the guard, shoot the shooters, make it seem like Isaiah's in trouble, so that way Sam is going to be off my trail. Sam is like, nah, we're not going back. Isaiah can take care of himself. He'll be all right. We have to see this through. So that puts Stearns' plans kind of like in a pickle. But they get to Camp Echo 1. They show up. They get guards sicked on them because Stearns is trying to keep them out of his hair. Ruth shows up. She fights off a couple of the guards, which it wasn't to say that Sam and Torres couldn't have. Because, I mean, they're fully capable. Sam had his shield. It was a narrow hallway, Cap in a narrow hallway. Bloom, 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 bloom. Bounce the shield off a couple of walls, take everybody out. Would have been fine. They go to the SEAL Team 6 to talk to them. Mm-hmm. They have Sidewinder captured. He gives the pills to the sergeant for him to investigate. Mm-hmm. Sam talks to Sidewinder, gets all the information that he needs. And they're like, okay, well, we have to get to DC to go talk to Ross. Well, Ross not in DC. He's on his way to
Celestial Island.
All right, so we got to get over there. Let's get to Celestial Island. We have the dogfight. We're trying to stop the Japanese from blowing up our ships. We're trying to stop the Americans from blowing up the Japanese. We get through all of that. Stearns turns himself in. Ruth did nothing to contribute to any of this.
She was there.
She was there, but
because we needed to introduce another hero.
We didn't, though. And that's, again, going back to the reshoots of everything that happens. She might have had a bigger role. She might have been more integral to what was going on in the story. But what we got in this movie, she didn't need to be there. You take her out of the movie, nothing changes.
Why didn't we bring back Sharon Carter?
Because she's the power broker. She's in Medreport. She's doing power broker things.
We leave all these plot, like you said, plot lines and unanswered situations. That was an opportunity. But again, we want to make it so that it's connected with each other. I think as far as connective tissue, they executed well. You have to have a reason for these people to interact with each other. There's no real reason for Stearns to even be mad at Captain America other than you're Captain America.
You stopped my plans, or you're affecting my plans.
Right, and essentially, isn't that what the hero's supposed to do? Like, you're messing up my plans, but I'm not gonna kill you because I don't.
That's not my intention. My intention is not to kill you.
My intention is to expose
a random man. Just a random man in his family. He could have, well, like you say, he doesn't have super strength. He doesn't have like any type of fighting ability. No. So he just walks into you couldn't get a phone from nowhere else? Why did he have to go to that specific family's house to use his phone?
Listen, chaos. Logical, Strider. They in their own world. That's why they got to be stopped. That's why we got to call the captain with his super vibranium wings and his vibranium shield and have him sling that frisbee out there and stop.
So
by the way, Cap killed no one in this movie.
No,
not
he did
one
not.
person. Again, for stark contrast of the hero versus the anti-hero versus the anti-villain versus the villain. Cap killed no one. He didn't even kill Sidewinder, who stabbed him with a hatchet and shot him. And stabbed him.
Knocked him out. He gave him a hell of a drop kick. Hit him with the drop kick. Hit him with the cap kick.
And he told that to Torres. He's like, no, nobody dies. And don't kill anybody. Because again, once you cross that line, you're looked at differently.
Yeah.
But there's no reason that people should really hate this movie, Spot. I'm going to be honest with you. You're looking at Winter Soldier 2.0. You're looking at, as far as Captain America movies, you got the chase, throw the shield, caught the shield, Hulk caught the shield, throw the shield in the ground.
Put it in the ground.
We're not even going to play with this. It's the same thing when Bucky caught the shield when Cap threw it.
Yeah,
we still got it's for beat. Even when they're in the car,
I feel like it's less of a surprise to have a Hulk catch the shield and to be like, this doesn't bother me. To at that point, we just thought that it was just another person. That was the big difference. Like we didn't know that was the Winter Soldier at that moment until he turned around and caught the shield. And we're like,
but we were
oh shit,
green too. Because unless you knew who the Winter Soldier was, you didn't know this guy had a metal arm.
Right.
Like the MCU was in this incubator stage. It was still developing. Those first couple of movies, it was like
the general audience wasn't familiar with who Bucky was as the Winter Soldier.
So now if you see somebody with another mechanical arm or, some type of sentient arm, which we already have with Cable, but it's easier to, oh, he has a metal arm. It's like, even they try to man made a reference to, dude, you got a metal arm? That is
Yeah.
awesome. How does it? So we were still learning about characters. And now we're seeing a character transition from being a sidekick character to the main guy. We're seeing Ross from going from a sidekick villain to a main villain. You can't be a Hulk and not be a main villain. You're a main thing. We're also seeing the leader go from somebody that was in the background who has history with Hulks and super soldier serum to now he's a. That's what I'm telling you, Strider. They take him and they level him up. They level him up. And whether you agree or disagree, they're now leveled up to be used later on in a storytelling narrative because Ross isn't dead. He's at the raft. Zemo is at the raft. The leader is at the raft.
Mm-hmm.
But the heroes tested the raft out first. they
I
went in
mean,
there.
Steve broke him out with no problem, apparently. So how long are they going to stay in now?
I think that's how it goes. You got to be broken out. You can't.
Oh, you can't break yourself out. You got to be broken out.
You can't. It's not like that button that's right there.
You can't reach the bars, hit the button, and get on out. But I got so I got two questions for you.
I can only answer two of them.
Okay. First question: Sam's first suit, the suit that we see him at the beginning. Yeah, the white one. Well, no, not the one from the Falcon and Winter Soldier. The one that he starts the movie off with, because of course he changes suits.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah. He changed suits because the first one, remember, Copperhead, the big dude, he slashed the star across the suit. Remember, with his knife?
Disrespectful. That's disrespectful.
So, is it just the wings that are vibranium, or is the whole suit vibranium?
If you're saying he slashed across the front and cut the suit, then it's clearly not vibranium.
Right. Okay. And so, if the whole suit is not vibranium, when we first see Sam dropping in to the church courtyard or whatever, he's terminal velocity and he just lands on his feet. It wasn't like any purple kinetic energy absorbing into the suit or anything like that. He just landed on his feet. He didn't decelerate because the shockwave still followed him.
Right.
So how did he not break his damn legs?
Or he could have decelerated and just like, how Tony goes off and then he hits thrust and then he goes off faster. He could have hit thrust and then braked and then still have that impact after he landed.
I feel like he landed way too fast for a normal human to just be like, oh, I landed.
The whole suit's supposed to be vibrating. Now,
okay, and then like you say, if the whole suit is vibranium, how the hell did he get slashed across the chest? I don't know.
Vibranium knife. I don't know.
And my other question:
we saw how vibranium cut the Red Hulk, so it's doing things now. Again, we didn't see it do that before. Got to take it somewhere. Vibranium now can cut Hulks.
Yeah,
impenetrable skin, but vibranium can cut it.
Right, because the bullets bounced right off of him. He got shot hundreds of times,
gazillion times.
But so then that means that his little knives are vibranium too. Then
the little blades that he threw.
Yeah, the little blades they stuck in his skin too.
Yes.
Okay.
Now.
But again, granted, the second suit was a new suit.
Yes.
So.
But the first one still was a vibranium suit.
That's what I thought. Then that's why I was surprised that he got cut across the chest. But regardless, second question: what do we think about the post-credit scene?
It's all connected, and we talked about this many times on this show, one of my favorite shows. They're gonna find a way to string it all together. Because it has to make sense to make $1 billion. It just does. You're gonna, no matter where you want to say, okay, well, you need to start here and watch this one. This one's not important. This one's important. Watch this. It's no different from comic runs. It's a comic company. They're doing things back to formula. And I just think it's so interesting how art reflects life because when they dropped the Eternals comics, didn't do well.
Mm-hmm.
And now that they started making an Eternals movie, didn't do well. So you want to make sure you don't repeat history because Marvel had to sell off the right to their characters because they weren't doing well. Um, and you want to hope that that doesn't happen again because if the IP comes up available for Thor,
No, I don't think Marvel's ever going to sell Thor off.
I don't think they're going to sell any of. And you might want to watch the tabloids, but they Sony keep pissing them off. I think they're going to buy them out. Just buy Sony as well,
But
just to
so
get the rights to Spider-Man back
yeah. So who
and
do we think?
Morbius and
Because
Black Cat. And
Stearns tells
all the rest.
Sam, I've seen the possibilities. I know that there are other worlds out there. And so he says that you think that you heroes are. Oh, lost you for a second. You there?
Back like I left my keys.
So Stearns tells Sam, like, you think you heroes are all great at saving the world. Wait until you have to or protect the world from the others. So who do we think the others are? Because they're saying plain and simple, there are other universes out there.
It's ambiguous, but clearly it's a multiversal tie-in. It's a multiversal tie-in. He could be referring to the X-Men. It's no secret that we're going to get the Avengers versus the X-Men. It's just how it works, which is a huge property that Capcom was able to do. Which I'm surprised they're not trying to relaunch their Street Fighter universe, but that's another story. But Avengers versus X-Men, and then the Mutant Saga. I don't think they're gonna retire the Avengers. I just don't think there's gonna be another huge overarching bad for a while after Doctor Doom.
You think they're going to focus on like smaller stories first before trying to bring another world-ending type thing?
Yeah, it's gonna be like an apocalypse type of situation, but apocalypse in that, like, it's no secret they're gonna have the most heroes on screen. I don't know if they're gonna be able to do that again. I don't know if they're gonna be ambitious enough to do that again. So what we're watching is history in the making. Um, Secret Wars and Doomsday.
No, I think
Because how do you top having 60 plus characters in one movie?
yeah. I think somewhere down the line they might revisit Apocalypse, but like you said, I don't think it's going to be for a long, long time. But I think, and we kind of talked about this before, I think it's kind of referring to a battle world situation of where you
Yeah,
have where we are going into Fantastic Four and we learning more about incursions and how multiple incursions are on the rise to where we're losing whole entire universes within the
right,
multiverse.
right,
And it might have something to do with Galactus, and that's the reason that we're losing these universes and everything. Because, like you said, Galactus might not only just devour planets, but start devouring entire universes. And then you know, bringing in Doctor Doom, and maybe when we get to Doomsday, Doomsday is that day that those fractured universes get brought together into one planet and become Battle World, right? And so that might be what Doomsday is that we get to the beginning of that. And then so we have all of the different, territories within Battle World, and you got your Thor Corps and all of these other the X-Men over here, and everything that's happening in these different territories, and then they're fighting each other. And so that was my immediate thought when he said, what are you going to do when you have to protect this world from the others? And so that's basically the other worlds coming in, fighting for the domination, of their territory and on the planet.
one of the coldest things that they have in comics is incursions. it's a dilemma that is known as a trolley car. If you have a trolley car that's coming down
Oh,
the
the trolley
track and
car problem.
one person is tied on the tracks, can you flip the switch to save that one person, but you'll be killing five other people, or would you let that one person die to save the five other people?
Mm-hmm.
Incursions are exactly like that. Well, actually, they're worse than that because either you save one or you save none. And it was the most, as a teenager, hearing that situation, you know, aspire to be a hero at some point. If it's not a superhero, it's just a hero at some point. You want to be a good person, if nothing else. But what do you do when you face that situation? When it's one or you lose both. So you want to protect the world that you're from. You're not just trying to, chivalrously say, okay, well, we'll die so y'all can live. Which is why Batman, the one with he the same probability. The trolley problem. You got criminals on this ferry. You got good people on this ferry. At this time, so if one don't blow up one, I'm gonna blow up both of them.
Right.
So somebody have to make a decision, and you see how that played out.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody made a decision. Thugs threw out their key. Uh, Debo, Zeus, Tiny Zeus, Lester threw the key out the window, and then the good people didn't blow up anybody either. But the Joker was very ready to blow up both ships.
Right.
Batman was there to stop him. That's where Batman came in as the hero because you've seen that the Joker was throwing bombs and blowing up hospitals already before. So there was no doubt that he would have blown up the ships. You already seen in iterations they blow stuff up all the time. This situation is beyond that. You have universes. How do you save a universe? That's the first question.
True.
How? How do you save a universe? So these incursions are happening, and we're talking about how they happen because of dream walking, because of going in somebody else's reality, because destabilizing the multiverse or casting spells and bots. Like all of this in the background, I'm pretty sure has something to do because Kang is no longer on the throne. Because when Kang was on the throne, none of these things happened.
Mm-hmm.
Now Loki's on the throne. He's allowing free will and choice, but we still got incursions. They show you that in the tree. Those little lights that see, those are incursions. What do you do to even stop it? We don't even know. So we're going to need the smartest man in the universe, Mr. Reed Richards, could do on how we're going to even stop incursions to save one. To save one. You can't save them all. You don't trade lives. We don't trade lives, Vision. Well,
And
what do you
so,
do?
is it that the only way to save that one is to bring those fractured bits of those other universes into this universe, so that way our universe is saved, and we try to retain as much as we can of the other universes, but those universes are now all obliterated, but now we have Battle World.
I'm going to be honest with you, Spider. They call the Avengers for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
Not the pre-Avengers.
We do our best work after the fact.
After the fact. So I'm going in this with no expectations, but
That's
I'm
fair.
pretty sure they're gonna lose. And they need to lose because again, you have to establish how bad you're feeling in. And I think as far as the post credit scene, I don't think it would have been anything other than what it is. Because where else would he have gone? He's not going to be lurking in the shadows.
Right.
He's been locked up for all that time now. He's locked up again unless somebody hit the. This
Hit the
is the
button on
thing.
the
I don't think it
outside.
hit the button on the outside. It's a mind control situation. If you give him a Walkman, this type of
Well, it
cell
did
phone,
look like he had to do a lot of prep work beforehand to understand the physiology of each person and their
yeah,
brain
yeah,
and everything.
dossiers on everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, the whole. I think they did a good job as far as telling a story.
Okay.
Telling a story. Well, let me ask you right now, Spider.
Yeah. You asking me before I get to ask you.
I'm asking you right now.
Mm-hmm.
Captain America, Brave New World, not New World Order.
Brave
That's
New
the one you
World of
said.
Adamantium, which
That's the
we
one you
hadn't
said
even
you
talked
wanted to
about.
see.
Adamantium is now in the MCU.
How far does Tiamat go down to the core of the earth? That's the question.
I would
You see the
imagine
head and the hand sticking up, but it's a
all the
celestial
way
body.
into the core because it was erupting from the core of the earth, wasn't it?
Good thing we didn't explode like you showed in the video, because all the other times they just show them boom and the earth is exploded. And
Right.
how and what if there's
I don't know.
atmosphere on
I
the earth?
honestly, when it happened, I was like, this should have real world implications. Like, there should be so much of our planet that's all out of whack now because of this entity that came up from the core of the earth. Everything should not be functioning as normal.
But see, that's the thing too, though, because they have to acknowledge that, and it has to be significant. You can't just have it in the ocean and not really be something. So now that it's animanium, it's hints of okay, so there is no Wolverine in our universe, or there is a Wolverine, because in the article, man with metal claws in a bar fight in She-Hulk, that exists. So
Yeah.
when did that happen? If there's no Wolverine or X Force or Weapon X system, it makes sense though, because again, everybody's trying to replicate the super soldier serum. That's the through line
Right.
all the way through. That's how you got your Hulks. That's how you got your Caps. That's how you got your John Walkers. Because everybody's trying to make their own super soldier juice. But we didn't hear anything about Canada. We didn't hear anything about a Striker.
No.
We don't know who the next Wolverine is going to
I
be.
mean, because we
Or
we get introduced to Celestial Island as, oh well, these four nations converged onto debating who would be able to claim ownership of it to where they came out with this treaty. But that's not to say, because how did they find out that vibranium was in it in the first place, right? Somebody had to have gone there first. Somebody
yeah,
had to have
Japanese
mined
had
in
a
there.
sample.
I'm not vibranium, adamantium. Somebody had to go in there first to be able to search around, look around, dig something out. So there, not only did you have to, because the canister that they had it had some temperature on it. So I want to imagine that they had already liquefied it. Then they already knew what temperature they needed to keep it at to keep it liquefied. So there's clearly some knowledge of adamantium as an element that has been discovered prior to this announcement that we got from Ross. They had to know something about it. So
That's
I don't,
crazy.
on the
Just the
MCU
thought
timeline, I
processes
don't know
of
exactly how far back this, whole thing with She-Hulk goes to where Tiamat came out of the core and erupted from the ocean to where they were able to go into Tiamat, mine out some adamantium, get it, use it, learn about it enough to where they use it on a mutant who, because if we've learned anything from X-Men Origins Wolverine, is that Wolverine already had claws. He had bone claws that
yes,
the
yes,
adamantium was grafted over.
yes,
So there was already someone existing in the MCU with bone claws from their hands that they
that's not what the
grafted the
article said.
adamantium metal on. So
Oh yeah, yeah,
that's
yeah.
a lot of retconning that they have to do.
Huge amount, huge. Or was it always that way?
Maybe. Mutants have always lived among us, but we just didn't pay attention enough to know. I don't know.
Somebody released the truth and they put it in an article at the bottom of.
It's in Star Magazine. It's one of the supermarket tabloids, and people just don't believe it. Oh, blue man with the tail poofs through alleyway. Like, we're not worried about that. But here it could have been
You know
Nightcrawler, and we didn't
what?
know.
That makes sense. They did it in DC with the Creature Commandos with Nina. She was an urban legend
Yeah.
for a long time, and then they caught her and killed her. Just so horribly good. But is the new Cap Brave New World? Is it Super Spider? Is it Super?
You were talking about the hate that this movie gets and how it's being destroyed in the articles and
In the
headlines and stuff like that.
sheets.
The sheets.
In the sheets.
What the sheets are saying.
This is the sheets
They're saying it's horrible and everything. And
not Captain America.
but it came out, it was the one of the because it's the number one movie in the world right now. Let's take a look at Box Office Mojo and see what.
I love when you put stats up for our fans or our family or people that watch us for this amount of time. You get stats.
So far, Box Office Mojo, and again, take this with a grain of salt or analyze it as you will. But so far over the weekend, and it's came out on Thursday. Right now, we're recording this on Sunday. It's made $88.5 million. So not a blockbuster opening, but not a flop, right? It's still the number one movie in the world right now. It's already because right now, 2024 worldwide, right now it's already made over 192 million. So 100 million domestic, 92 million foreign. That's where we're at right now. So 100 million in the first weekend, almost 200 million in the first weekend. That's not nothing to sneeze at. So it's making some money. Now, if that's going to last for its entire theatrical run, that's yet to be seen. But the hate that is getting online, I feel, is completely unwarranted because it was already getting hate from the moment that they announced this movie. They was already getting hate from the moment that they announced Sam as Captain America. When Steve gave him the shield, Sam was getting hate. So we already knew that hate was going to follow him into his own solo movie. Anytime he comes back as Captain America, Sam Wilson is going to get that hate. He got the hate in the comics when he picked up the shield and became the Captain America.
Same thing.
Right.
It's so interesting how it's the same thing. And let me tell you this. There's no winning for this with Anthony Mackie.
No.
Because even if he decides to, not him, but even if Marvel decides to move on and have him, which he does in the comics, Steve comes back, he gives the shield back to Steve. He no longer is Captain America. They're gonna look at it like, oh, he couldn't even hack it as Captain America. He had to give it back. Or if he keeps the shield, it's like, oh, he shouldn't be Captain America. You need to get his shield back. It's like he can't win in the situation.
No, you can't. But the thing about it is that Captain America First Avenger opened at $65 million.
Okay.
It ended worldwide grossing $370 million. So Captain America First Avenger, Steve Rogers' first foray as Captain America, wasn't this billion-dollar blockbuster, right?
No.
And here we are back to form, new Captain America, his first movie out.
Week one out of the trilogy.
Right. And so that's what I'm saying. Because society's memory is very short. So the last thing that they latch on to, oh, well, Deadpool and Wolverine made $1 billion. The next MCU movie that comes out clearly is not going to make $1 billion. So using a transitive property is like, therefore, it must not be a success. That is what people are going to say. Because this movie is not making $1 billion, it's not good. I don't subscribe to that notion. What I do subscribe to is that this movie aimed to do what Captain America: The Winter Soldier did, to be more of more to a sort of spy espionage type movie, to go with like things happening behind the scenes in the shadows, try to figure out what's going on to get to the foregone conclusion at the end. I feel like it failed in its attempt to be as impactful as the Winter Soldier, because I feel like the implications weren't there. Because like you say, it's a Ross movie. The implications are only on a surface level are hinged on what Ross does, right? Stearns is going after Thaddeus Ross. He wants him to pay for what he did to him. He wants Ross to be humiliated on a worldwide scale. Damn anybody that gets in his way, right? And Captain America at this point is just a block in Stern's plan. Like you said, this really isn't much of a Captain America movie, more as Captain America is helping Ross overcome what Stearns is doing to him.
Captain America is in it.
Really, it kind of seems like that because it's almost like it's a Red Hulk movie featuring Captain America.
But again, villain-wise, you have to be able to develop a villain. You got to be able to tell it if you want people. Do you not understand Ross's motivation? I'm not a good man, not a good person. I've done a lot of horrible things, but I can change.
Right.
I'm trying to change. I'm trying to be better. But you still did the stuff that you did.
Right.
And you still got to attest to
you have to atone.
Yeah,
you have to atone for it. And he didn't atone for it until he was caught, literally and figuratively, red-handed on live TV and hulked out in front of America. I feel like had it not been for that, if it was a situation where he hulked out in private, demolished the town, went off somewhere, and then changed back to Ross, he would have owned up to it for a second. At all.
He'll be like, I'm about to put the lead out for the Red Hulk.
The Hulk Hunter is back. We're gonna find this Red Hulk. He's gonna bring him to justice.
You're the Hulk. You're as red as that light behind you. You're the Hulk. But it is a Civil War. It's a Hulk story.
Yeah, and for that point, I can't say that this movie, as a Captain America movie, I can't say that it's super because it didn't feel like a full-fledged Captain America movie. I feel like we didn't really get much of Sam having to overcome something, right? I feel like he had to overcome more in Falcon and the Winter Soldier than he did to prove to him, both himself and to the world, that he's Captain America, that he had to overcome in this movie. Because like I said, going up against Stearns, he didn't really face any opposition from Stearns because he pretty much had Stearns figured out, and everything that he went to do, he was able to succeed in every part that Stearns plan put into play. After Isaiah got locked up, Sam was like, all right, I'm locked in. I'm going to investigate this and I'm going to figure it out every step of the way. And Sam was on top of every single part of it, to where Stearns and his statistical probabilities, he banked on the wrong direction at every point.
He's still learning how to use his powers,
I guess. But at the end of the day,
I don't think it's Anthony Mackie's fault at all.
I don't think it has anything to do with the actors. I don't think it has anything to do. I like the actors. I like the stunts. I thought like the whole fight scene with the jets, I thought that was great. I thought the hand-to-hand combat was great. I thought him and Torres working together, I thought that they had, other than Torres being a little bit, too fanboyish, I thought they had a great partnership. I thought they had this great buddy cop dynamic where, Sam was the boots on the ground going to investigate stuff. Torres, the guy in a chair, he's doing the research, but then he also comes out and he gets his hands dirty too. But I feel like
nobody's going to see that though. Nobody's going to see that.
At the end of the day, your complete movie needs that compelling villain. It needs the hero actually overcoming that adversity. Remember, like we said, you have to break the hero down so that in the third act they have something to overcome and rise above it, right? I feel like Sam didn't really have to overcome anything except just moving forward to figure out what was going on and why, this stuff was happening. Why did Isaiah get framed? Why, is Stearns going after Ross? It was just basically him uncovering a mystery. It was like a procedural detective drama that you find on TV. Not necessarily that the hero is in peril, but it's things that they have to research and find out to ultimately lead to the conclusion at the end of the story. So in that sense, I feel like there wasn't really a lot for him to really have to do, but just follow the breadcrumbs. And so for that, I can't, it's not a bad movie. It's not a horrible movie. Again, it shouldn't be getting that amount of hate that it's getting, but for me, I can't say that it was super.
God damn. God damn, Spider.
I said what I said.
You said it. You said it with your whole chest. Your whole, you didn't even do half the chest. You said it with your whole chest.
But Mr. VIP Franklin Washington.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Is Captain America Brave New World super for you?
This is super for me. I'm not even gonna make people wait. I will say yes, it was. It was super for me, and here's my explanation why. Because Anthony Mackie stayed true to his character throughout this story. Ross stayed true to his character throughout this story. He's shady. He's a liar. He's a manipulator, and he's done horrible things.
Right.
Not to say that Stearns didn't deserve to be in jail, but he was using Stearns. He was using them because he was keeping them alive. That's the deceptive part about it.
Right.
And though he was trying to change, he's still doing those stuff.
Right.
So it shows the character overall.
If there's one thing that throughout all of the Incredible Hulk movie, one thing that I never questioned was that Ross loved his daughter. I think he hated Hulk more, but he loved Betty and he wanted to ensure that Betty was safe and he cared about Betty, but his hate for the Hulk just overshadowed that to where that was his main drive and focus.
But where did the hate come from? Because it was Ross that was in charge of the program. Banner was brought in to help develop the serum to make the super soldier serum. His daughter was there. They started dating. They fell in love. Was it just because of that?
No, I think it was because
not good enough for my daughter.
I think it was because basically with Bruce Banner turning into the Hulk and the accident that happened destroyed the lab, and unless Bruce would turn himself in, all of that money, all of that research
experimented on,
all of that goes away with Bruce. So he's mad at Bruce and he wants to bring him in so he can resume that experimentation, because clearly this is not what we set out to do, but we can take what happened and use that into some military applications.
I'm somewhat of a scientist myself. There's other people that make different versions of the super soldier serum. The guy in Madripoor made John Walker's version.
Yeah.
And he doesn't even have to be a Hulk. And here's the part that I always thought was interesting. Ross has a version of the super soldier serum. He gave it to Blonsky. So why are we after this so hard? Why are we after Bruce so hard? Like, the hatred I never understood, but he's obsessed with him.
He is.
He's like, as far as my concern, that man's whole body is property of the U.S. government.
Mm-hmm.
And he pursued him relentlessly with that in his forefront thought. Not in the back of his mind, the forefront of thought is like, you belong to us. He's like an experiment gone wrong. You have no rights. I'm coming to collect what's already our property. So he doesn't even value Bruce as a person.
No.
He's a thing. So
not
you got that character, which is Rocky. So you got all that, and now you're saying he's no longer that, which makes sense. He's getting older in his years. He's settling down. He wants to connect with his daughter. So that's that. You got this new Captain America who's still struggling with the idea of everybody's watching Captain America, and everybody wants to make sure that you don't mess up, and everybody's waiting for you to mess up, and they don't want to accept you. You can't do the right thing. You can't do the wrong thing. It's like you're such on the, like I said, every time he picks that shield up, he understands the weight that goes with it, especially since he knows what John Walker did to it.
Right.
Like, all that doesn't go away. So doing that, trying to be a good captain, to be a good man, and then you got Taurus over here yapping off in your ear, like, show me the kick, show me the kick, show me how to do the kick. And you're like, come on, I'm going to take you to somebody who could teach you how to fight, right? Elijah Bradley. And next thing you know, your friend's being set up or framed because you've talked to him for years at this point, at least 3.
Yeah.
Since Bucky introduced you to him. So at least 3 years you guys have been friends. Now all of a sudden, Sam, I wouldn't do this, even though I have feelings to do it. I ain't doing it all this time. Well, I do it now. I don't even like Ross. I only came because you invited me. I
Right.
had no intentions on coming. So this is not me. What does he do? He goes to help his friend. What does Captain America do? He goes to help his friend. It's the same movie. I'm going to help my friend. My friend's been wrongfully accused. I'm going to save him. Your friend goes to jail. He's not safe in jail. They're going to kill him. The Black Widow comes in and moves him to a solitary confinement. Literally anybody could have did that. The guard could have did that. So I'm not taking that away from the widows. I'm sure they're important somewhere. But everything that Sam's done in this movie, he's done as Captain America, and it's nothing different than what Captain America would have done. It's Captain America.
Yeah.
They made sure to not deviate from the Winter Soldier. They gave you the Winter Soldier. From the fight scene with Captain America and Bucky, or the Winter Soldier with the knife, guess what? The Sidewinder Captain America scene mirrored that scene with the intensity. Steve didn't get stabbed. Falcon did. He doesn't have healing properties. He got hurt. And you saw him. He was bandaged up, switching suits, telling him to gear up. We got stuff to do. The ride in the car was similar to Natasha and Steve riding in the truck that Steve stole, which I'm sure we talked about. It's destroyed because when Cap Lehigh.
Also, I mean, yeah, no, essentially was the same thing. Going to the Camp Lejeune and going to Camp Echo One, having that ride out. The only thing that's different is they didn't have to steal a truck. But here's my thing: they get rid of their phones because they don't want to be tracked. But they have
had that smartwatch on.
No, not even a smartwatch, but it was an electric. It was like a brand new electric Hummer, which I know has GPS in it.
Yeah, but if they don't know that that's his car, they can't. Who are we tracing? We don't know. It could have been a rental. I don't know. We don't know.
Okay.
Nice truck though.
with the trunk in the front. Yeah.
Where else you go put your shield? That's where you put it now.
I mean, put it in the back seat, I guess. I don't know.
Cap rides with it in the front on a motorcycle. So we got to put it in the front.
Front of the
trunk. It's the same move. It's connected, Spider. It's all connected.
Oh God.
I think for what it was a good movie. I think it was super. I was really thinking about watching it again because it was I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. I didn't enjoy this double pump hand fist that Ross did. I was like, are you gonna hit the table? And you're not hitting the table? And then you look at it. I said, stop it.
I feel like even they like kind of framed that wrong. Because I feel like not enough emphasis was put onto him breaking the table.
Reaction?
Yeah, because it was like he did it. And they angled down to look at the table where his hand was, but it's not like he pulled his hand up and there was like extra attention. It's like because that was a marble table,
right?
And nobody was like, "Sir, are you
okay?"
That's what I'm saying. Like, nobody said anything about it.
He tripping. It's just him doing him. Like he do that all the time. It's like Kingpin, just rip the door off a car
and nobody questioned it.
Nobody questioned it. It's like,
and another little bit of CGI that looked a little wonky was when when Stearns was talking to him in his ear and he was starting to Hulk out and he like crushed the pipe on the ship in the inside. That wasn't even. That was like. It was all CG because I guess they had to have his hand and maybe Harrison Ford doesn't have that grip strength anymore to be able to like maybe crush like a lighter metal like that.
Hey, first of all, you don't talk about Harrison Ford like that. He's been holding a whip, like Indiana Jones.
Yeah, but you don't have to hold it with enough force to crush it. You just have to hold it in your hand. I'm not saying that he can't hold anything. I'm just saying that he may not be in the have the strength to crush some metal. But that's what I'm saying because it was something that was CG that I felt like didn't necessarily need to be CG. No, they really made an emphasis on his calves getting bigger. Like both times he was starting to transform, they had to look at his calves. That was the big like emphasis point.
I don't know what it is about Hulks and feet and calves and stuff. I don't know. They just want you to see, like, go back, watch in the MCU Hulk version. There's always a foot thing in there, from Hulk to She-Hulk to
You got to show him breaking out of his shoes.
Ross.
I I will never
That is the thing. That
I will
is the
never
thing.
understand. You have a being that's growing, and this is what with all the Hulks, because it doesn't make sense for any of them. You're growing clearly 2 times, 3 times your normal size. There's no way in hell that your pants should still fit. Your pants should be ripped off of you once you grow that big, and then once you shrink back down, they should, if they are still on you, they should be stretched out to the point where they fall off you. The pants don't make sense. That's all I'm saying.
In the situation with the Hulk, yeah, we understand that he got the stretchy pants, but the situation with Ross, with you not knowing that you were going to turn into a Hulk,
yeah, he just had on slacks.
you should have bust right on out of that, and it would have been not the president that we know.
No,
it's like, I don't need to know you like that.
Yeah,
Red guy. So you're right. I mean, tongue in cheek logic. It only becomes a thing when you have somebody redo it and you have the Hulk walking around with no clothes on at all. So it's a comic book movie. I can live with it.
Yeah,
at the same time,
it's not something that makes me like, oh, this movie is unwatchable because his pants didn't rip. You know, it's just it's a thing that, like I said, it happens to all the Hulks, so it's whatever.
Maybe they don't Hulk out right there. That's the only part that stands like a man. It did what it needed to do. It's a medium point. They had to address the Celestial. Where else are you going to address the Celestial? They had to set up X-Men. They clearly setting up X-Men. They're setting up the multiverse. This movie did a lot. Like I said, they're very aware of where they are, what they are. They were able to execute it well without compromising the characters. Like I really felt it was character driven. It told a decent story. Was it going to make $1 billion? It can. It's worth, again, I'll watch it again. It's worth watching.
Mm-hmm.
It's all dependent on Sam Wilson as Captain America has always been controversial for all the reasons that you just mentioned. And people will go out and see it because it's a Marvel movie. But it's a good Marvel movie. It's not a bad movie.
No, it's not a bad
movie. If you're coming in with expectations that it needs to be a world-ending event,
you're coming in with the wrong expectation. And that's the thing.
It's all grounded.
Marvel is a victim of its own success because you had Endgame and everybody felt like, oh, okay, well, if this is what you can do, then every movie from here on out should be of that caliber, which is an impossible thing to do. There has to be...
It's a culmination of what, 20 something movies?
Yeah. And you have to be able to build back up to...
what?
I don't know. I haven't even counted. But a lot of... You also have some stuff now that... And we've talked about this plenty of times before, is that people in their short-sightedness are not able to see the long game, right? They're not able to see what's coming up for the future. Not because they can't see it, it's just because they choose not to. Because shows like this, shows like ours, other people on a weekly basis, they go into details of, okay, well, this is where we could take this story. This is what we could see in the future. And right, it's statistical probability that we may see Dr. Doom in the Fantastic Four movie. You know, but
and then what happens when that don't happen? It's like, hey, you're not supposed to be here. You're supposed to have been in this movie.
And it leaves us with questions as to, okay, so what is the real storyline that they're trying to push? What is the trajectory that the MCU is trying to follow to tell this bigger story? And that's why they separated into sagas. The Infinity Saga was one thing. Yes, it wasn't one movie. The Infinity Saga as a collective ended with Endgame. Once Endgame was over, that's when we move on to the next saga. And if at the beginning of the saga, that was where we needed to rebuild again. And people don't have the patience to sit through the rebuilding phase. They had the patience for it at the beginning of the Infinity Saga because everything was new. We didn't know where it was going. We didn't know what the potential could possibly be. So we're waiting with bated breath on every single release to see exactly what's going to happen.
Say it, Spider. Just say it. Say it, Spider.
But now they listen, like I said, they're a victim of their own success because not only are they trying to tell this story, they're also trying to chase the success that they had with Endgame because they know it's possible. But not just these collaboration movies, not just these group movies, because you had Captain Marvel make $1 billion, you had Black Panther make $1 billion, so you can have origin stories that are powerful enough, that are moving enough to where they can be wildly successful. But if you look at the actual critics of these movies, you have these certified critics, these journalists, these movie journalists that say Captain Marvel was a failure. They say Black Panther wasn't that great. It was just blah. It was bland. It was very archetypical and following a very linear storyline. But when they don't look into the artistry, they don't look into the significance of these movies, because you have a Black superhero who is the titular character of their own movie. You have a woman who is a titular character of their own movie. And these are powerful characters that can go toe to toe with your Iron Mans, your Captain Americas, your Thors, your traditionally white man-led movies that are in power of everything. So having a different perspective and seeing different things, yes, that's what people want. But when they start catering to the complaints of the vocal minority, because they say, oh, well, because you put out Captain Marvel and made $1 billion, so now you're going to come out with the Marvels. Oh, you had one woman, now you got to have 3 women, and that's just too much. It's too woke, right? So now we have a Black Captain America, too woke, right? So they want to shit on these movies just based off of the premise of who's the lead in the movies. You have a Black Captain America, you have a Hispanic Falcon, you have Giancarlo Esposito coming in as Sidewinder, you have these minority characters that are playing these leading roles, but that people is it's just woke because you're putting these people into these roles just to put them into these roles. Granted,
Harrison Ford is Caucasian.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that he's not necessarily it's not a Red Hulk movie. He's a supporting actor in this film.
Is.
It turned out to be a Red Hulk movie. Yeah,
he don't have the title.
Right.
It'll say Captain America and Red Hulk, but this is a Red Hulk centric story.
Regardless of everything that happened, with Miss Marvel, with the Marvels, with Monica Rambeau, with
Coley.
Was what?
It's a cool story. I don't think they have enough that Sam did not do to say it's not his movie, but there was just enough. If Marvel's trying to do villains, this is not a bad villain that they did. Seriously, because he wasn't out for leader. Yes. Red Hulk, even a leader. He's not after world domination. He's trying to rectify things.
He doesn't have to be after world domination, but
that's what I'm saying. This is not an Avengers level threat. This is a self-contained Captain America story.
But my biggest complaint is when you explain this villain, your antagonist of your story, and even if we don't want to call him a villain, but the antagonist of the story, when you explain that his ability is to be able to see these statistical probabilities and be able to stay 3 steps ahead of everybody because he's just that smart, his brain is gamma infused, I feel like he shouldn't be thwarted so easily by Sam just making a choice. There was no.
But that's how the probability works.
But it makes the villain look weak. It doesn't. He's not threatening.
He is weak.
He's not threatening. I'm supposed to feel threatened by this movie. Well, by your antagonist for the protagonist to have something to go up against.
He's He's sporadic. He kills people at random. He has mind manipulation capabilities through a song. How is that not frightening? When you hear this Mr. Blue song, you immediately have to start turning around because you don't know who's coming. That's scary, dude.
Because once they figured it out, they were able to easily remedy it with
Yeah,
no
turn the volume
complications at
down.
all.
Turn this TV off. Turn this TV
That's
off.
all they had to do. What? And then the thing about it is, it was such an offhanded comment on how Torres was like, "Oh, well, I just went in and I reversed the frequency of his signal, and I was able to shut off whatever it was that he was doing." And that was
So
it.
you wanted the leader to be more of a threat.
Yeah, I wanted him to be more of a perceptible threat. He was a psychological threat. The threat was allured to, right? They're saying how much chaos he could cause with what he could do, but he didn't cause
a lot of chaos.
The only chaos
he
that he
almost
caused
started a war.
But like you said, the only chaos that he caused was directly related to just Ross. I'm not saying that he has to have world-ending implications on what it is that he's doing, but it was, if he's going to be the antagonist of your film, make him the antagonist of your film. They made it to where he's threatening.
He was the guy in that chair.
He's threatening, yes, but he's not a threat. If Sam is able to easily thwart him at every turn, only to come up against.
Be that good?
Because I'm not saying that Sam can't be that good, but Sam being that good makes the antagonist look that much worse. Because if you want him to be able to go up against somebody who earns him the right to call himself Captain America, or earns him the right to be like, see, I am Captain America, and have everybody else put some respect on his name, he has to go up against somebody that warrants it.
Why? Captain America didn't do that. He fought the Red Skull. Red Skull didn't even lose. He got teleported. Who did he fight in Winter Soldier? And nobody.
He fought the Winter Soldier. That's who he fought.
He fought Backdrop the Leaper, and brought him to justice. And then he was trying to find his friend once he realized that his friend was alive.
But here's the thing. So Captain America, Steve Rogers, was the de facto leader of the Avengers, right? Because even when, somebody called Tony the boss, and Tony was like, well, he's the boss. I'm just the one that pays for everything and makes everything look good. Cool. Right. Captain America showed time and time again that he was leading, or I should say Steve Rogers showed from movie to movie that he was a leader. Even in the first Avengers, he led the Howling Commandos, right? And the Winter Soldier, he was leading that strike team. Force. Yeah. In Civil War, he was leading the Avengers because they were in Lagos. He led his side. Tony led his side. We saw Steve be a leader.
Yes.
We have not had an opportunity to see Sam be a leader. Now, before you say, I understand that he has not had the opportunity to be a leader, but if Sam is going to be our Captain America from henceforth, he has to be able to have that faith within himself that he can lead. Yes, I know that he has doubts because everybody's comparing him to Steve. Yes, he has his doubts because he's going into a role as a black man that was traditionally held by a white man. He has these doubts about the way the public perceives him. Yes, I understand that. But if he's going to be Captain America, he has to be able to have that belief in himself. And I still, even at the end of the movie, I don't know if he really believes that he can do it, because I feel like he had been doubting himself the entire way. And that last conversation that he and Torres has, he's still like, yes, I have to be just that good, because if I don't, I'm out the door. They, like you said, they have these ways now where they can develop a super soldier serum, and as soon as they can find a way to give it to somebody, like they try to do with John Walker, as soon as they find a way to give it to somebody that they think can follow the toe in the line of what they want Captain America to be, Sam's going to be out the door.
Yes, and
but he has to be able to believe in himself that he deserves to be where he is right now. And I don't feel like we got in the movie that he's
struggling with that.
But I feel like we should have gotten some type of resolve, some type of resolution by the end of the movie, that he he has that confidence in himself. He doesn't need Bucky to come in and tell him that Steve didn't make the right decision, because he already told him that in Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Brother, didn't you just see this man get stabbed? Did you not see this man like get punched and fly into a
He
car
got his ass beat in Civil War.
He got his ass beat in
Winter
this
Soldier.
movie. Well, at the same time, them punches hurt. And goddamn right, Bucky full of shit. I should have took that soldier serum. And I appreciated that, because in that moment, I'm thinking the same.
Yeah, you going up against a Hulk, like, and yes, absolutely, that would be the thought that goes through your mind.
Shit. Nobody inspiring. Yeah, who inspiring to be out here with me? Because it's just me out here with this frisbee that you threw into the earth, and I got nothing but, rip my wing off. Here's what I do appreciate. I appreciate that realism, because even at the bed, Torres is like, yo, you gonna put a word in for the Wakandans? Because I need a suit too. I need a suit. You got him on speed dial. I see what your suit can do. I know I can get an upgrade. If my suit do what your suit do, and your suit do most shit, I still got what you was able to do. I always said that, because I'm like, how does Falcon knows Iron Man and don't ask him to upgrade his suit? Right? Keep the wings, but all of this is exposed. Like, dude, they're shooting real bullets, and you agile. But what about the one that you missed?
Before the Avengers broke up, he did have some upgrades to his suit, because remember, Bucky ripped his wings off in Winter Soldier, and he came back in Civil War. He had a new suit.
Yeah, they always ripping the wings, man.
That's how you ground him.
He's broken.
He can't do anything else if you don't have his wings.
He showed that he's very capable.
He did, and which is why I feel like he should have more confidence in his abilities.
This man trying to survive out here. It's hard out here. They already still pointing to say, "Hey, ain't you the Black Falcon?" Why? Because I'm black? Wait, they say that you're a Black Captain America? Why? Because I'm black. It's just Captain America. Just Captain America.
Right.
He looking out for everybody, not just certain people. I thought it was. I think I might watch it again.
Yeah, go for it.
I might feel a different way after I watch it the second time, but I think as what it is, for me, it hit that super status. For what it is and where it is, listen, if this would have dropped in phase 1, you would have been all over it. Or anywhere in phase 4. God damn. It just would have been a breath of fresh air in phase 4. I think now the audience just has a different type of palette, but you can't start at the top. You got to start at the bottom. This is his first iteration as Captain America. Again, it was Falcon and Winter Soldier before. He struggled with being Captain America. Now he's Captain America, and you still see a little bit of that struggle, but even with the struggle, he's going out there and he's getting it done. And he's showing empathy and compassion of people to a Hulk. Come on now.
That's literally that was his only weapon in the toolbox at that point. There was nothing else that he could be able to do to stop him.
He's just a man.
But no, because it speaks to his character.
I know you can kill me with one punch.
Exactly.
We all know this. But think about what you're doing. Look around. Is this what you're trying to do? And he is enough to calm down. And I thought the daughter was going to come in right there, like from the helicopter. I was surprised that she came in later. But again, Sam brought her.
Right.
Sam brought her. He checked. Why are you here, Sam? Just checking on an old veteran. This is your Captain America. Like, what else does he need to do to prove and show that he is that?
Believe in himself. That's what I need him to do.
It's a struggle, Spider, every day. You pick up that shield. That shield is heavy. And I'm not talking about just the weight of the vibranium. There's a lot that goes on. And I think they encapsulated that between Falcon and the Winter Soldier and this movie. There's a lot that goes with holding that shield. It's not an easy. I'm gonna be happy when you give it back. Hey, bro, you're young again. Here go your shield. I'm sick of this shit. No, y'all can call me. Y'all call me for missions. I ain't gonna do it in Captain America.
But it just, because of the trajectory that we took in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and we had him finally accepting that he was like, turning the shield. I don't feel like I deserve it. They gave it to John Walker. John Walker definitely didn't deserve it. So they get it back. He finally embraces the mantle of Captain America. Bucky embraces Sam being Captain America. He finally has everybody calling him Cap. They called
Yeah,
him Cap.
everybody called him Cap. Oh my
Everybody called
God.
him Cap in this
Everybody
movie
showed
to
respect.
drive
Like,
home the
damn.
point. This is Captain America. Stop calling him Falcon. Stop calling him Black Captain America.
It
He
had a
is
lot to do.
Captain America. And I
It had a
appreciate
lot to
that.
do.
But again, I feel like a few times it was a little forced. It was like you can still call him Sam because people still called Steve. So it's okay. But everybody
Maybe.
called him Captain America to drive it home to the audience that he is Captain America. But I would have thought that after all this time of him being Captain America, like we said, 3 years he's been going out on these missions, everybody's calling him Captain America. I would have thought that he would have had more confidence in himself in knowing that, yes, I am Captain America.
Still learning.
And that's fair. But let us know what you thought about Captain America.
Wait till he
Brave
put
New
the
World.
team together. Wait till he make the call when he say Avengers Assemble. Let's go back and have this conversation because they got to give him at least one.
We'll see. We'll see what happens.
That's the deal, right? I'm on Captain America. I got to say Avengers Assemble one time.
We'll find out, and we'll see what movie he will utter that famous phrase in. But let us know what you thought about Captain America Brave New World. Did you think it was super? Did you enjoy it? Or do you agree with the critics and did you not really care for it at all? But let us know in the comments. But remember, if you like this video, go ahead, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell so you can be notified when we have new episodes that come out. If you want the audio version of the podcast, just search for All Things Super on your favorite podcast streaming platform. And if you want to reach out to us on social media, just click the link in the description below.
Leave comments, read those. Hulk hit! Not Smash, because they're going to get sued. But Hulk hit the link.
Who's going to sue them? Are they going to sue themselves?
It's a crazy world.
He did do the thunderclap, though.
Right? Because that's a Hulk thing.
That is a Hulk thing.
You got it. She-Hulk did it like 1,000 times. So this goes to show how powerful she is. When are we going to get all these Hulks together?
Hulk and Agents of Smash?
And I would love to see that. I wish they made it a Disney Plus show. And it's tied to Hulk. Are we going to retcon that? Is he a Hulk?
No, I think all of that got retcon. Because remember Kevin like wiped all of that whole scene. He erased all of that stuff. Well, no, technically, Jen rewrote all of that.
True to the comics, leave her alone. But I would like to see season 2 of She-Hulk, and I would like to see an Agents of Hulk. Because I don't think they're gonna leave. First of all, I know they're gonna recast Harrison Ford once they do the soft reboot, because.
Right.
Harrison Ford's not signing on to do 9 movies. He's just not. I wouldn't. So they can have the Red Hulk, She-Hulk, Bruce Banner's Hulk. If they can, I don't know if they got the rights back from Universal. That's why you only see Hulks in other people's movies.
Right. I think that they said that they were on. Last I heard that they were in talks of having all of that settled, but I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah, because you're not gonna win. Because guess what? I could use it because you only have the rights to put them in a standalone movie, but it's our character, and we can put them in other movies.
Yeah.
So guess what? We win.
And but it's so because it's not like after the Incredible Hulk came out, right? Even though the Incredible Hulk is technically an MCU movie now, you still to this day have not had a Hulk movie. Since the beginning of the MCU, we've had Spider-Man movies, we've had Fantastic Four, we've had X-Men movies. Every other studio that owned a piece of a Marvel superhero has made movies since the emergence of the MCU, except Universal with the Hulk. So I don't know. I don't know what
if they don't make a movie within 2 years that the rights go back to
Marvel. I think that might have just been a Spider-Man thing. I don't know if that was like a carpet agreement for all of their characters. Well, blanket agreement, I should say, not a carpet agreement.
Well, we'll see, because if they don't drop another, what's the last Spider-Man? Oh, they got the Spider-Verse. I think that counts.
I don't
I
know.
was trying to see if I was trying to see if those rights were gonna.
But I'm pretty
They're
sure they
not about to let them rights
renegotiated.
go.
I think they renegotiated the Spider-Man things. Well, I mean, because you also had Craven and Madam Web, so they still using Spider-Man characters very frequently, just not Spider-Man himself.
Yeah, and I think that's what the deal was. It's like you guys can't use Spider-Man while you're using Spider-Man. So I think they were saying, I think there was some trickery going on. I had to guess. It's like y'all can't use Spider-Man while we use Spider-Man. But what about our 2 year Spider-Man thing? Oh, I don't know what y'all gonna do with that. Y'all can't use them while we use them.
I
So
don't know.
there's like, fuck, we don't want to lose the rights. We got to make something happen. Oh, let's just use the villains. Yeah. So you have all these goddamn villains
All the
because you're
Venom
trying to,
movies, Craven
just
movie,
just to
Morbius,
retain.
Madam
They
Web.
don't care what they do. They just
They
retain
just
the
churn them
Spider-Man
out
right.
to retain their rights.
I don't think they're done because they're not about to let those rights go. I just don't know what they're gonna. They're gonna have to spend something. Bring Andrew Garfield back. Bring Tobey Maguire back. It's clear that they can. They did. So just do another movie or two, and then soft reboot your own universe.
But
There's so many other characters you can
would
use.
Toby at his age want to come back to do a full Spider-Man? I think Andrew would be game for it. I don't know if Toby would be willing to come back and do a full.
Let him. Let Andrew come. There's no definition. There's definitive thing that Toby has to come back. He's already showed up.
Yeah, I don't know.
Give him a new suit and continue his story. That's all you have to do. That's $1 billion, right? I think Andrew will get $1 billion, depending on if it's the right story. And you can still have Tom Holland in it. One thing that this multiverse saga has done to the general audiences is show them that multiversal characters exist.
Right.
It's not like we didn't know before. We've seen different iterations of Batman. We've seen different iterations of Superman. And I don't know where in Hollywood they think people can't understand there's a Christopher Reeves Superman and there's a Dean Cain Superman. And there's a Michael get his name that played Batman.
Michael Keaton?
Not Keaton. I don't. Christian Bell. Christian
Oh.
Bell. I don't know why I said Michael. There's a Christian Bell and there's a Michael Keaton. We understand that. I don't know why they made it. Oh, you can't have two Batmen at the same time. That's going to confuse audiences. To who? Who's it confusing? This one don't look like that one. But now with the multiverse, now we understand you can have variants that look like each other. You can have variants that don't look like each other. You can have variants that's animals. It's just a concept. Now that we all understand the concept, we go move on. But one of the hardest things to do is that goddamn. And I didn't think they were gonna have the balls to do it so soon. The incursions.
Right.
I thought they were gonna play around with some more stuff before they built the incursions. Well, when they say the multiverse, I was like, that's balls, real balls, and they ain't back down. They did pivot though. But if they let Jonathan Majors come back and finish his story, none of it is a loss.
Well, nothing is set in stone, and there are an infinite number of ways that these stories could go. So the only thing we can do is be patient and wait to see what the MCU comes out with next. But the next big MCU movie will be the Thunderbolts that comes out in May.
Thunderbolts with the asterisk.
But the next conclusion of an MCU project will be your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. Last 2 episodes wrap up this week, so you best believe that next episode we come out with, we're going to be reviewing Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man Season 1 as a whole. Season 2 and Season 3, I believe, are already greenlit, so we're going to be having a lot more Spider-Man in animated form on Disney+, so we'll see where that show goes.
I know.
But
What's Sony going to do?
we don't know, but we'll definitely find out. But thank you all so much for joining us on this episode. We appreciate all the love and all the support. We'll see you in the next one. But just remember, until then, keep being super.